3-2 win over Portland at home. They include a 105th-minute winner for the Orange. Dallas looks to take an early lead for both Copa Tejas and El Capitan tonight as the 51st edition of the Texas Derby kicks tonight in Frisco. Along the lines of the FC Dallas Radio Network, it is the FC Dallas pregame show presented by your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. On tonight's presentation, we'll have the sounds of tonight's Derby match. Your broadcast team for the evening, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis, will join me. We'll break down the important tactics, storylines, everything you need to know ahead of tonight's home matchup. But as we do for all home games, we welcome in the FC Dallas Insider. He writes for FCDallas.com. It is the great Garrett Meltzer. Garrett, it is Derby Day in Frisco. It is always a special occasion, and even more so when we're going to be going into a break for the first time in 2026.
It's always really important to get a good result before an international break or a bye week of any kind, because that result's going to stick with you for a little while longer. And it's even made more important by the fact that it's a Texas Derby against FC Dallas's biggest rivals, and the fact that Dallas is currently on a 2-game winless run. So they'll really want to get 3 points out of this one and reward themselves for some good performance they've had recently, despite not getting a win in the last 2.
And you've brought that up as well. Several players for Dallas will be departing in the international window. We'll talk about that in just a minute, but more about the overall vibes of going into a break like this, where you've played well, maybe you haven't always gotten the results you wanted, but just the ability to go into that time off when you're not going to be playing, maybe you'll be training a little bit. The mindset change between winning and having a positive mentality against losing and having that kind of dour mentality, that's a huge and could influence a lot coming out of the break, could it not?
Yeah, it's really just all about the vibe. I think Dallas is really happy with how they've played to start this season. Now, the results haven't always been there. Of course, they got the win on opening day. That was huge. But, had a really tough schedule playing San Diego, LAFC. Even Toronto has played really well to start the season as well. So that win is looking very, very good. But, yeah, going into a 2-week break, you want to get 3 points and enjoy the break just that much more.
Well, the team charged with doing just that for tonight for FC Dallas. Michael Collodi in net for the Burn. Shaq Moore, Osazi Uriguide, Nolan Norris on the back line. Bernard Camungo, Christian Capas Ramiro, and Herman Johansson, alongside Kaique, Joaquin Valiente, and Logan Farrington. So 2 big changes tonight for Dallas. We'll start bad news first. No Peter Musa in the starting 11. He is listed on the bench tonight, so we could see him if cage preserved. What's going on with the Moose, and that's especially critical because he is one of those guys heading off for an international break starting tomorrow.
Yeah, just a minor knock for Musa, so nothing serious, and it's good to see him at least in the squad tonight. I do think that if Dallas is in need of a goal late in the game, maybe the last 20, 30 minutes, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the big Croatian go out there, because we know how important he is to this team, and he scored every single goal for Dallas but 1 this year, so it's obviously a big miss. But good thing is Logan Farrington is a very good deputy to have in there. So it's a loss for Dallas, but I do think we might see him if Dallas needs a goal.
Yeah, 3 goals and 4 appearances for Musa against the Dynamo, and of course the only other goal this year was by Logan Farrington. So it's a good place to be. The good news, Osazi Uriguide back in the middle. He missed last week's draw, dealing with a little bit of a groin knock. Bringing him back in, obviously replacing Musa is impossible, but if you're going to bring somebody back in the lineup to help offset that, boy, the fireman is just such a good guy to have, especially playing next to a guy like Nolan Norris, who had a great game last week.
Yeah, absolutely. Behind Musa, I would say Osaze Uriguide is Dallas' most important player. Although last week, I thought the back line played really well, despite conceding 3 goals. 2 of them were penalties, and they held San Diego, who's a great team, to 3 shots over the first 80 minutes or something. So no knock to those guys without Osaze, but you always want your best players on the field, and he is one of FC Dallas' best players.
And, as we mentioned, Logan Farrington will start in place of Musa, and he obviously missed out last week starting as Dallas changed up their midfield to play a little differently against San Diego. They're going with the same formation tonight, but just Logan in for Musa. And it's interesting because we've seen Logan have great impacts starting and off the bench, but he's had a good first game, an assist and a goal, but he's been a little quiet lately. This feels like a big moment for a guy like that who plays on emotion and does shine when he gets the chance to make an impact against a rival.
It is a big game for him. He had that fantastic preseason and an opening goal in the first game of the season, and then a little bit slower in the last 2. I think he's missed some chances that he would go back and say, I should have put that one away. And unfortunately, it did cost FC Dallas some points, so that happens. But that's kind of, goal scorers, they score and sometimes they miss. That's just kind of how it is. But I do think he'll be kind of relishing this chance against a Dynamo team that's conceded quite a few of expected goals this year, and probably not the same type of really stout defense that San Diego had and that LAFC has. So I think he'll be backing himself to get on the score sheet once again.
And one guy that could help with that is Nolan Norris, the aforementioned left center back who gets his second start of the season. And one of the things, we talk a lot about Nolan. He is a good defender. He plays for the national team. In fact, he'll be leaving for Korea tomorrow, a 16-hour flight to go with the U21 national team. Yeah, he seemed excited and not, if everyone gets what I mean there, about 16 hours in the air. But one of the things that Nolan really brings in addition to his defense is that passing ability. He has just a sweet foot, specifically his left. And not just on defense, but that could really help unlock a Dallas offense that, outside of last week and Toronto, has been a little dormant at times.
Yeah, we saw it last week when Nolan Norris got his first minutes. He played a fantastic long ball over the top to Bernard Kamungo, who then won a penalty that Musa put away. And that's what Nolan Norris brings. He adds a different dimension to this back line. He might be the best passer in the team, and that's pretty impressive for a defender. So getting him back there is really helpful for Dallas, and I do think it raises the ceiling of this team to have a really talented passer out of the back, because I would say for all their strengths, this back line does lack a little bit of that composure on the ball and ability to play out of tight spaces. That's what Nolan Norris brings you.
And we've already mentioned Nolan is leaving. We've mentioned that Petar Musa is heading to join Croatia and Orlando this week. But quite a few Dallas players are heading out to join their national teams. Outside of those two, who else will be leaving for Dallas this week?
Yeah, FC Dallas has quite a few call-ups this time, 7. So I actually wrote them down. Musa for Croatia, friendlies against Colombia and Brazil. That'll be appointment viewing for sure. But Herman Johansson as well being called up to Sweden, and this is a big one because they're heading to Europe to play in World Cup qualification playoffs. They'll be taking on Ukraine, so a chance to play in the World Cup for Sweden is going to be huge, and it's great to see Herman getting a second call-up for Sweden. Dietzen, of course, called up for Haiti. He's one of the most important players. Scored the goal, actually, that took him to the World Cup, their first since 1974. So no surprise there. And they'll play friendlies against Tunisia and Iceland. But also some youth call-ups. You mentioned Nolan Norris with the U.S. U21s, but also Jaden Contreras, the Honduras U21s, Josh Torquato, the U.S. U19s, and Ron Binyamin, the Israeli U20s. So best of luck to them, and it should be fun to watch those guys play it during this international break.
And for Johansson, it's doubly important not just to get his team to the World Cup, but if they do, they'll probably be base camping in Mansfield. Their playoff path would take them to the new Mansfield Stadium. So not only would he get to go to the World Cup, which is great enough as it is, but he would also get to stay pretty close to home.
Yeah, he might just stay in his apartment,
Yeah, he doesn't even have to really leave. Everyone else has to travel, but he gets to just hang out. It'd be great. Well, it's a Texas derby tonight. Houston comes into this one on 6 points with 2 wins. Although it's been a wild season for Houston so far. Just last week, they played 18 minutes of second-half stoppage time. They fought through 2 red cards earlier. They've had a match canceled due to snow. And for the first time this year, Hector Herrera will start for them after last featuring in a very infamous moment in the playoffs in 2024. This is a very odd matchup in a lot of sense because it's a very direct style in, heavy sprint, heavy effort style against a Ben Olsen team that kind of wants to possess you to death and may suffer for it, as we'll talk about later in the show.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see the tactical matchup in this one because both teams play the same formation more or less with the wing backs and the back 3 and whatnot, but they play very different variations of it. FC Dallas, of course, very direct, kind of a run and gun style. They like to be chaotic, and then Houston really the opposite. They want to control the game, slow it down, and kill you with passes, like you said. So we'll have to see which one wins out. Eric Quill did say, if the game is chaotic, I like our chances. If it's slow and slow and plotting, then he likes Houston's chances. So we know what FC Dallas will want to do. They'll want to make it a chaos match.
Well, that sounds like he's telegraphing one very specific substitution for later in the game, but we'll talk about that as we go. But that is Garrett Meltzer. You can find his work on FCDallas.com. Find him on all the socials at Garrett Meltzer. You'll hear him at halftime. And, of course, as these guys go out to international duty, keep an eye on the website. Garrett will keep you posted on what's all's going on with all of our Burn players abroad. Thank you so much, Garrett. We'll see you at halftime.
Absolutely, Sam. When
we return here on the FC Dallas pregame show, we will hear the sounds of tonight's match. You're listening to FC Dallas Soccer, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
At Toyota, we don't just build trucks. We build something that's meant to last. That's why the 2026 Tundra is built to tough it out and to take it easy. Built to carry tradition and to make new ones. Built stronger, built louder, built here. The 2026 Toyota Tundra. Built in Texas, driven everywhere. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
It's a moment when I show up, God, I'm saying wow.
Welcome to the world of WinStar, the casino of FC Dallas, where 10,000 electronic games, plus roulette, craps, and blackjack is just the beginning. Get lost in our 2-story luxury spa, rest in one of our vast hotel towers, and catch the biggest names in music and comedy at the spectacular Lucas Oil Live, all just 1 hour north of DFW. So come live in the wow at the world of WinStar.
God, I'm saying wow.
Winner, winner, Chick-fil-A dinner. All season long when FC Dallas wins at home, fans win free Chick-fil-A. Be sure your Chick-fil-A app is up to date and location services are turned on when you attend matches at Toyota Stadium. After the team wins, before you leave your seats, open the app to redeem the Chick-fil-A offer. Welcome back to the FC Dallas pregame shows. We're getting you ready for FC Dallas versus the Houston Dynamo tonight, presented by Toyota, the Texas Derby's first leg. The next leg of this one will be played later in October, so it'll be the last time we see the Dynamo, at least for a long time, in MLS play again tonight and then October. In our next segment, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis will join me. We'll break down the tactics, the storylines, everything you need about tonight's crucial three-pointer in the Western Conference. But let me tell you first about the FC Dallas Radio Network. Of course, you'll find the post-game show there, highlights, stats, analysis, everything you need about the game that was in 30 minutes or less. That goes up shortly after we finish live. And then we've got the FC Dallas agenda coming up on episode number 50. The next one will be number 50, where we bring you all the newsmakers, coaches, players, decision makers, everything you need to know about your favorite MLS club, as long as that club is FC Dallas. And if you're listening to this, it very well should be. But that comes out almost every Wednesday. We have great interviews, great insights, analysis, fun, everything you could need in about just an hour or so, give or take. And just last week, we debuted a brand new program on the FC Dallas Radio Network podcast feed. It's The Build-Up. It's our under 20-minute preview of the game to be. We did San Diego last week. We did Houston just this past yesterday. It gives you everything you need. It'll be Ryan, Garrett, Steve, myself. It's a rotating cast that'll get you everything you need to know about the game that was in just under 20 minutes or so the day before it happens. So how do you get all this great content, you ask? Well, I'm certainly glad you did. Go to your podcast provider of choice, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Type in AFC Dallas Radio Network and then hit subscribe so you don't miss any of our great content. And by the way, just as an extra addition, it's free, 100%, totally free, $99, never pay a dime for it. We've got a ton of great stuff there. We'd like you to join us over there for all of that. Now let's bring you the sounds of tonight's matchup. And today, those are from manager Eric Quill and midfielder Christian Kappas.
I mean, we just got to take our moments, whether it be in front of goal, and put them in scenarios in training so they're getting those repetitions. So we're trying to fix and create habits to punish opponents. If it's breakdowns and defending in the box, again, you look hard at the video and where your shortcomings are, and you solve it on the training field, and the guys stay engaged, which they've been all week long, and you hope that that repetition and those moments that we're constructing again, if they play themselves out in a game, that they're fixed. I mean, we've educated our players, and we're continuing to educate them on, especially the guys that are coming from, outside the country on what this rivalry is. And obviously guys that have played in it understand. So it's great. It's a great matchup always. It's always got a little bit extra for the fans, for the players, extra adrenaline rush. And that's what rivalries are about, is these moments that we get to all embrace, and we want to be on top of it. And your moments are crucial. I mean, it's a game of moments, and can we punish in ours and keep them from attaining moments? But they're a great team, well coached, and it's going to be a great game for the fans to watch. Studying what they've done so far, and like most teams do, and making sure we're educating ourselves on each profile and knowing what they want to do, and taking away what their strengths are and what their tactics, what they've been in the previous 4 games or 3 games they played, and making sure that we stay about ourselves though too. Like we have a real belief in ourselves and how we play, that we're not gonna concede that to anybody in the league. So it's maintaining our philosophy, but also knowing what they want to do to us and taking away those things. And so if we can do those things, I like our chances.
I think it's been a good start to this season, performance-wise. I think we're getting better each week. And, of course, playing, against Houston this weekend, we're all going to be 100% ready to go, and we're looking to win at home. I think we have to just keep doing what we're doing. I think we're right on the edge there, and then it's just about finding the small margins in the game to, make the difference. And I think there's no better weekend to do it than in a rivalry game. But yeah, of course, it's special. I played against Houston growing up most of my life, playing against the Dynamo. So now this is my first derby here in Dallas. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the stadium. I'm excited for the atmosphere, and I think it's going to be a really nice game.
When we return here on the FC Dallas pregame show, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis join me to break down tonight's matchup. This is FC Dallas Soccer presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
It's a moment when I show up, God, I'm saying wow.
Welcome to the world of WinStar, the casino of FC Dallas, where 10,000 electronic games, plus roulette, craps, and blackjack is just the beginning. Get lost in our 2-story luxury spa, rest in one of our vast hotel towers, and catch the biggest names in music and comedy at the spectacular Lucas Oil Live, all just 1 hour north of DFW. So come live in the wow at the world of WinStar.
God, I'm saying wow.
With the 2026 Toyota Tacoma's all-terrain capability and advanced tech, you can do whatever you want.
Whatever we want?
Yep,
whatever we want! Like waking up in a tent with 0 cell service on purpose.
Or driving down a rocky trail that was never actually a road.
Or going out and doing donuts before we've had breakfast.
Or catching sunrise by the lake. And maybe even a fish if we're lucky.
The 2026 Toyota Tacoma, for every kind of adventure. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See toyota.com for details.
Welcome back to the FC Dallas pregame show presented by Toyota. We have got about 20 minutes to kick off here at Toyota Stadium, so let's go ahead and bring you tonight's starting lineups, which this evening are brought to you by Advil Care. We'll start first with the visiting Houston Dynamo and fourth-year manager Ben Olsen. It's Jonathan Bond in net for the Orange tonight. Antonio Carlos, Eric Sviatchenko, Felipe Andrade, Dwayne Holmes, and Lawrence Anali on the back line for Houston. Jack McGlynn and Hector Herrera making his first start of 2026 in the midfield. And then Mateos Bogus, Guilherme, and Ezekiel Ponce up top for Houston. Now let's bring you the starting lineup for FC Dallas and second-year manager Eric Quill.
Michael Colodi, goalkeeper, Frisco, Texas.
Shaq Moore, right back, Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Osaze Origide, center back, Netherlands, Nijmegen.
Nolan Norris, midfielder, Fort Worth, Texas.
Herman Johansson, wingback, Sweden.
Christian Capes, midfielder, Houston, Texas.
Ramiro Benetti, midfielder, Brazil.
Bernard Camungo, I'm a winger, and I'm from Abilene, Texas.
Kaique, midfield, Brazil.
Joaquín Valiente, mediocampista, Uruguay.
Logan Farrington, striker, Racine, Wisconsin.
And the reserves tonight for FC Dallas, Jonathan Sirois, Lalo Sabubakar, Ron Benjamin, Lucius Don Dietzen, Patrickson Delgado, Pedro Musa, Sebastian Ibiaga, Caleb Swan, and Sam Sarver. And now let's bring in the voices of tonight's contest. It's Ryan Figert, it's Steve Davis. And Ryan, these stats come via our own Garrett Melser. 11 wins, 4 losses, 9 draws for Dallas. They've scored 40 goals and 27 goals conceded here at Toyota Stadium against the Dynamo. As they look to get 3 more points tonight, the history says that FC Dallas does have a distinct advantage here in Frisco.
Yeah, but they've got to make it count. Last season, I think one of the low points of the entire 2026 calendar was dropping that game against Houston at home. It was a moment where I think they had some momentum. They could have built on it with a rivalry win in front of the fans, and they let Jack McGlynn pop one in from 30 yards, and they ended up losing that one 2-0. And they had to have a long, hard look at themselves, and it was months before they really found the solid identity that we're seeing on the field now in 2026. So it's a moment where you have to take advantage of it because, it's a double-edged sword. You can win, and it feels even better than a normal win, but if you lose, man, that's a low point, and we've already talked about, on the podcast and the build-up this week, you're going to have to sit with that for 2 weeks because there's not a game next weekend. So this game carries a lot of weight, not just for the 3 points, but for the emotion of the occasion.
And, Steve, they're going to have to do it for the majority of this one without Petter Musa. It looks like he is on the bench tonight. That brings in Logan Farrington to the starting 11. We'll get to Logan in just a second. But I think, obviously we know how good Petter Musa is as an individual. But what I'm curious to hear you espouse about is how this is going to change Dallas's offense, because he kind of is a one-man goal-scoring machine in the end.
Yeah, well, I think there's two different questions. First of all, howdy, Sam. Good to be here again. I think you're asking a couple of different questions there.
Probably.
Is the question how will they score without the guy that's provided most of the scoring this year? Or is the question, like, does it, change the way they approach things? And honestly, I don't think it does, because I think right now they're generating a lot of chances off the press anyway. Obviously, they're not going to be able to play through Musa, and Logan Farrington isn't quite the same type of player. I think he's going to stay a little closer to goal and not look to link play as much as Petter Musa does, because he's not as good as Petter Musa at it. Long story short here, I think they've just got to find other ways to create scoring chances. It's it's going to have to be the wing backs, and we saw Bernie Kamungo really come alive last week in the second half, and Valiente's got to start offering some more ideas as the sort of chief playmaker.
Yeah, and we've seen Logan, he does have a goal in the year. In fact, he's got the only non-Musa goal so far this year, Ryan. And it's not really that he's lacking for opportunities so far. We've seen him have some really prime chances, but he's just been a little bit slow or a little bit late, just a little bit off. And that's the difference between him having one goal and him probably having 3 or 4.
Yeah, and that would be Dallas having 3 or 4 extra points.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the LAFC chance early in the second half. Maybe they would go on to win that game if he puts the ball in the back of the net against Larice. Gets stoned on the big save there. And then the chance that was supplied by Dietzen late in the second half last week, where he sort of tried to put too much power on it and volleyed it off target. So a couple of big chances for him, but look, strikers aren't going to take every chance. It's about getting in those spots repetitively, creating those opportunities with your movement, and he's shown us he can do that. Now it's just about being clinical, and as Eric Quill told us this week, taking those moments.
Now, for every closed door and open window, though, Steve, this does give Houston a lot to think about late game if Dallas is either drawn, they're up goal, because you've got the Moose lurking on there, and we don't know necessarily how much he's got. But if he's there, that's something Ben Olsen and company are going to have to think about throughout a whole 90 minutes, basically until the last whistle blows.
Well, look, he was the Golden Boot leader until Sam Surridge had a hat trick today for Nashville. So obviously he's a great weapon to have off the bench. But what would be even better is if they're in a position where they don't even need him to come in and rescue the team. So, but yes, obviously, not to put too fine a point on it, but he is an awesome guy to have coming off the bench.
It kind of reminds us last week of Jesper Sverkov and Andrew Stryer, who were both kind of looming for Mikey Varas' squad when they came in as well. Well, it's not all doom and gloom for FC Dallas, Ryan. Osaze Urugide, the fireman himself, is back in the middle tonight. He plays with Shaq Moore on his right, Nolan Norris on his left. And you can make the argument that as much of a blow as it is to not have Musa starting on offense, the gains you get on defense with him being back there is just as large.
Yeah, I think it's huge. And let's give credit to Ibiaga, who's the one that dropped out of the team, because I think he actually had a pretty solid performance last week against a tough team in San Diego, and the penalties sort of skewed the overall result in that one. But, undoubtedly a major upgrade bringing Osaze into the middle of the back three where he's done his best work in this formation. And I think it gives you a lot of opportunities for either Nolan on the left or Shaq Moore on the right to push the envelope and get forward into the attack. We've seen when Shaq is on the right side, he likes to sort of get into that pocket and provide a little bit of service into the front line. I'd like to see both sides, take those opportunities to create from the back line. Use the wing backs as well. Let them be aggressive and go high in the press because, like you said, the fireman's back there, Osaze Urugide, back in the lineup.
And, Steve, you can make the argument that, we were talking at training yesterday that this might be your best back three with Shaq, Osaze, and Nolan. But I think you could also make the argument we're just so happy to have Osaze back because no matter who plays next to him, everyone is better when he is back there.
Yeah, and like Ryan said, I thought the back line did pretty well last week. Now, that said, that was against a rotated San Diego team. Obviously Dreyer came in late. But, look, the guys are going up against today. I know we're going to talk a little bit more about Houston in a few minutes, but Guilherme is a new guy. I think he's really got something. Ponce in his role close to goal. He's got a little something. He's not a great connector, but close to goal. He's really good in the air. And then Mateusz Bogusz was a 15-goal scorer a couple of years ago for LAFC. So the challenge is bigger tonight. It's great to have Osaze back.
And one thing that we saw last week, Steve, was the press worked really well for Dallas. They really gave San Diego a lot of problems as they were trying to build out. And we see that Houston likes to pass the ball a lot, and they don't really like to do the long ball. Is Dallas, do you think, going to be able to press like they did last week, or are they going to slightly change what they do to fit the Dynamo?
Yeah, they don't do a lot of long ball, but they do a lot of switching. But Glenn is really good at that, so be aware of that. But so I think it's interesting that Hector Herrera is starting for Houston, and I think that's a direct response to what happened last week with San Diego. Really was in trouble in the first half. They didn't have Jeppe Sverskov in there, that six who could really sort of handle the press. So I expect Dallas to press again tonight, but I think Hector Herrera gets his first start tonight of the season, and at age 36, I don't know how much, he's almost 36. I don't know how much we're going to see him start this year, but I think that's a direct response to Ben Olsen understanding that Dallas is going to press, and they need somebody like that who can be a little more press resistant, because Valiente and Kaique were absolute monsters in the press, and that three-man front. And I think Petter Musa was really good at leading the press and understanding how to bait and how to wait and when to go. So Logan Farrington's got to be that clever today.
And it'll be curious because the most we've seen Hector Herrera go is 45 minutes so far, so he may not be 90 minutes fit. And Ryan, that creates two different issues for Houston that could benefit Dallas. One, that's a very good offensive midfield with McGlynn and Hector Herrera. The counterflip of that is, boy, you could probably drive a Toyota Tundra, as you said before we came on the air, through the holes defensively that group may cause.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that they didn't go with some more cover defensively. They have Jaje Samaseku, who's a defensive midfielder that they've played for all 3 games so far this season, and it's just a little bit, surprising that it seems like a very aggressive attacking approach from Ben Olsen on the road, and maybe he wants to be the antagonist tonight and be front-footed and get the ball into Guilherme and get it into Bogusz through those guys and their playmaking abilities. But the way that Dallas was able to crowd the midfield against San Diego, the way that Kappas has played in there this season, Valiente might be able to find more space. I mean, there's not a defensive bone in the body of Hector Herrera or Jack McGlynn. Hector, at this point in his career, in his peak, he was able to cover ground and be that defensive-minded player. But now he's a controller that likes to have the ball, and McGlynn has never really shown a propensity to defend at any level. So, as you said, I think there's a huge opportunity for Dallas to dominate the midfield battle tonight just by sheer effort, value, just getting the bodies in there and crowding out that midfield and finding the space that they leave.
Guys, do you think that Eric Quill is in there showing this lineup and saying to Kaique and to Valiente and to Logan Farrington, hey guys, look at this disrespect. They don't think you can pass through here. They don't think you can, they probably think we can, do something in the midfield. They don't think you can create in the final third. Look at this. Look who they're playing in there. It is interesting because you're right, McGlynn and Herrera they're not good defenders. Is this Ben Olsen saying, I don't think Valiente and Kaique as dual 10s can really hurt us in there?
I sure hope he is, because those guys seem like they would be up for the challenge. Especially Kaique and Farrington. Those guys play heavily on emotion and they know what they're doing. Flipping midfields for a minute, Steve. Obviously, Ramiro and Kappas are probably going to play those two screener, more defensive type midfielders, and they've got their own challenge tonight because, as we mentioned, the front line of Ponce, Guilherme, and Bogusz. Those are some really tough scorers, and obviously the defensive line will have to deal with it too. But that line of first confrontation is going to be those two veteran midfielders. What do they need to do tonight for Dallas?
Well, I think it's going to be Ramiro sitting deepest, and then Kappas will sort of join him in there. It'll look like a box, a little bit more like a box, and then Kaique and Valiente will play ahead of them. I think that's how they're going to play against tonight. That's how they played against San Diego. And then as they drop into low block, then it sort of flattens out and becomes a 5-4-1, and one of the guys presses up a little higher on the outside. So it'll look something like that. And what they have to do, Ramiro just has to maintain positional discipline. Sometimes he gets caught up a little high and he just doesn't have the recovery speed. I want to see him sit a little deeper because, again, I expect McGlynn and Herrera to sit back a little bit and then hit big switching balls, play the longer balls through the lines. Not long ball, but the 20, 30-yard passes through the lines, and then let those three. Guilherme and Bogusz like to get defenders in situations where they're one-on-one. Ponce likes to drop in a little bit, and then sort of combine. So I just want Ramiro to play defensive. He play disciplined in there.
Yeah, and I think there's some extra weight. Obviously there's extra weight for everybody with it being a rivalry game. But man, This is the first time that Christian Kappas gets a chance to play against the Houston Dynamo, the club that derailed his young career when he tried to sign with FC Dallas as a teenager. He's got to have a little bit of extra edge in the tackle tonight. I'm sure he's looking forward to this one.
And one thing that could determine things tonight, Ryan, is the goalkeeper battle. Michael Colodi in one end, who's had some good games but has allowed a few goals, although a couple of them are penalties, so you kind of take those off the board because penalty conversions are almost automatic in MLS these days. Meanwhile, Jonathan Bond on the other end, 5 goals allowed in 3 starts. His save percentage is just under 67%. Eric Will said, we heard it in our last segment, if this is kind of a chaos game, he likes his team's chances. If chaos comes to Jonathan Bond's 6-yard box, it's probably not going to go well for the Dynamo.
Yeah, I mean, his numbers aren't great, and they never have been. Even when he was starting for the LA Galaxy a few years ago, he bounced back and forth between the championship and Major League Soccer. I don't really rate him as a starting level goalkeeper, but Houston has been desperate over the last couple of years to find anybody that can start in goal between, getting rid of Tarbell and Steve Clark before that. They had some veteran guys that they trusted, and now they're kind of, bottom of the barrel in terms of picking goalkeepers in Major League Soccer. Obviously, Jimmy Maurer in the twilight of his career on the Houston bench tonight. But for as highly as I rate Michael Colodi, to be honest, I don't rate Jonathan Bond. I think there's an opportunity to get at him tonight.
And yet he does make some good saves. He made it. We were talking a while ago about a
he
great
can pull it
save.
Off. He still belongs at the level, but I think in terms of if you're going 1 through 30, he's maybe in the bottom 5.
Yeah, made a great save last year on Julio Santos, on Anderson Julio, on his 65-yard effort.
Yeah, he's what we'd probably call a second division starter, as there's 4 currently active goalkeepers on Houston's roster as of yet. Well, let's go to our keys to the match here as the players are getting ready to come out on the field. Those are brought to you by Toyota, and those are also presented by Steve Davis.
Thank you, Sam. Number 1, you just got to win your duels. I mean, more precisely, you have to win the important duels. A lot of FCD players are really good at it, but things break down if just one person isn't getting the job done. So you got to win the important challenges, the important 50-50s, and you don't do it without you have to do it without giving up dangerous free kicks and penalty kicks like we saw last week. Number 2 is just finding scores, because I don't know where this team is right now, Sam, without Peter Musa. But I know that having one guy supplying the bulk of the goals, it's just not sustainable. We're seeing one of the reasons why tonight, because Musa may not always be available, so someone else has to find their scoring boots and right fast. And then number 3, you just said it, they got to control tempo, because I suspect, and I know Eric suspects that Houston, playing away from home for the first time this year, they would prefer a slower match with more controlled sequences, slower restarts. FC Dallas' best chance in the Texas Derby tonight comes with a little bit of chaos, a match with a little more tempo, more exchanges of possession. Dallas needs fast and physical, and those are your keys presented by Toyota.
Thank you, Steve Davis. Players walking out right now, led by their captains Antonio Carlos and Ramiro. Dallas in the DNA kit, blue and red tops with blue shorts. Meanwhile, Houston in their orange tops and white shorts. And the magic number tonight, lads, is 2. If Houston goes up 2 goals, they're almost assuredly going to win because they haven't lost from that position in 230 matches. On the downside, though, if Dallas goes up by 2 goals, Dallas is almost assuredly going to win because Houston has not come back from a 2-goal deficit in 249 matches. So the magic number tonight, for everyone paying attention, is number 2. But that's going to do it for tonight's pregame show. Before we head to our break and before we get ready for kickoff, let's throw it to our PA announcer, Chris Bukembuso, for tonight's national anthem.
Mims is a 20-year U.S. Army veteran who first deployed with the 82nd Airborne Division in October of 1983 to Grenada in support of operations to rescue American medical students. He later served as a weapons squad leader with Bravo Company 3rd Ranger Battalion during the 1993 deployment to Mogadishu, Somalia, in the Battle of Mogadishu. Thank you for your service. Toyota Hero of the Match, Sergeant First Class Retired Russell Mims. Fans, please rise if you are able and remove your hats for the national anthem of the United States, performed tonight by Michael Bortz.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, Michael Boards.
At Toyota, we don't just build trucks. We build something that's meant to last. That's why the 2026 Tundra is built to tough it out and to take it easy. Built to carry tradition and to make new ones. Built stronger, built louder, built here. The 2026 Toyota Tundra. Built in Texas, driven everywhere. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
It's a moment when I show up, God, I'm saying wow.
Welcome to the world of WinStar, the casino of FC Dallas, where 10,000 electronic games, plus roulette, craps, and blackjack is just the beginning. Get lost in our 2-story luxury spa, rest in one of our vast hotel towers, and catch the biggest names in music and comedy at the spectacular Lucas Oil Live, all just 1 hour north of DFW. So come live in the wow at the world of WinStar.
God, I'm saying wow.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
We welcome you into Toyota Stadium, where tonight the Texas Heat has shown up just in time for the first Texas Derby of the year. It's Houston against Dallas for the first time in 2026, the 57th time since the Dynamo debuted in Major League Soccer. We're playing for 3 points tonight, but that's not all that's on the line. It's the fate of El Capitan, Copa Tejas, and of course, the pride of Texas is up for grabs as the teams take the field in Frisco tonight. Ryan Figert in the booth tonight alongside Steve Davis. And Steve, and Houston native Eric Quill's first year in charge, he split the 2 games with the in-state rival. We had the Anderson Julio late winner in Houston, but we had a real low point here with the 2-0 defeat in Frisco. Nearly a year later, though, this feels like an entirely different squad, a solid identity, and tonight they hope to impose that identity on their rivals, the Dynamo.
Yeah, I tell you what, Ryan, we keep talking about Texas Derby, and, I think there is a little more juice to the game, but look, there's another aspect here. They took 5 of 9 points from the first 3 at home, and it's not bad, but it's not awesome. We know the schedule is sort of front-loaded with home games, and they need to rack and stack the points right now. So it's beyond just Texas Derby. It's important they get 3 points tonight.
If you're just joining us, Dallas without Pedro Musa from the start. He is available amongst the substitutes tonight, but it's Logan Farrington who's going to shoulder the goal-scoring load up front for Eric Quill's side, supported by Joaquin Valiente and Kaique. Valiente getting his first taste of the Texas Derby, having played in some big ones in his career down in South America.
Yeah, I think we ought to explain that Pedro Musa just picked up a little knock, and we think he's okay. It's just a little bit of managing him and being careful with him. But as you said, he is available on the bench tonight.
Rosendo Mendoza, the man with the whistle, supported by Andrew Bigelow and Kevin Locke, the assistant referees, and the VAR, Lorenzo Hernandez in Arlington, Texas. The Dallas fans in good voice, as you'd expect, for the big occasion, the one they circle on the calendar every year. a chance to defend Fortress Frisco against the in-state rivals, the Houston Dynamo. We wait the whistle from Rosendo Mendoza. He awaits the go-ahead from Mission Control.
Right, I think the team could feel good about the last two performances. I think they outplayed LAFC a couple of weeks back, and then coming back from 2 goals down last week to get a point was important. But at some point, you got to get a W.
Looking for the W tonight as we are underway in Frisco. Dallas against Houston. The first in-state rivalry action in 2026. Play for El Capitan, the famous Cannon Trophy that goes back and forth between these two sides for the season series. You play for Copa Tejas, the mini tournament within the season between Austin, Houston, and Dallas. Houston, the current holders of that one for the first time in their history, winning it last year. Jack McGlynn launches it forward on the far side. Shaq Moore up to win the header. Battle for it on the far side. It runs out for a Dallas ball. We've got eyes on that midfield matchup, Steve, with Herrera coming in for his first start alongside Jack McGlynn for Houston.
Yeah, we just saw McGlynn sort of try to sweep a clearance. Didn't hit it very well, so early small victory for Dallas there.
Here's Norris, and at left center back for the second straight week for Eric Quill. Finds Kaike, who finds Kappas. Extra weight in this matchup for the Houston native Christian Kappas, whose early career was derailed by Houston as they refused to sign him to their academy and then made sure Dallas couldn't either. Now a chance for him to make his mark against the Orange from his home city. Here's Bogusz in the middle for Houston. Johansson in retreat at his back. Here's Matty Bogusz, the new designated player, in towards the 18. Slips it through for Ponce. Uriguide on his case, forces him wide. Back to the top of the box. Jack McGlynn. Jack McGlynn wide for Lawrence Anali. The speedster up against Johansson. Drop of the shoulder. Anali fires in the low cross. Uriguide awkwardly gets it behind for a corner, but he's absolutely mishit that clearance. And a little bit lucky it didn't find its way past Michael Collodi and into the back of the net.
Well, maybe it's something on the ball. We saw Jack McGlynn kind of scuff one, and then one of Dallas' more dependable players, Uriguide, just looking like me or you out there on that one.
Fortunately, no harm, no foul, but it will lead to a Houston corner kick, the first for either side tonight. And the boos raining down from the Rhine as Guilherme, another new designated player, in from Santos, where he scored 27 goals across 92 games, playing alongside one Neymar. He'll take it, looking for an outswinger from the near side. Whipped in to the near post. The last touch, I believe, was off Sviatchenko. No, looks like Norris got a touch, so they'll do it again.
Guilherme on these corner kicks. You mentioned new DP. They remade the roster almost like Dallas did last year. 20 changes. He is one of the new ones. I think they've got some good pieces.
Referee gonna have a quick conversation here, and I'll give you one guess, Steve, who he's talking to.
We said the conversation on a corner kick with Uriguide. That's on the bingo card now, and you said last time it's pretty much a free space.
It is a free space once again tonight, as we've checked it off within 3 minutes. He's matched up with Ponce. Guilherme takes it, whipped into the near post, headed away by Farrington, not too far clear. It's retrieved by Bogusz on the far side. Formerly of LAFC, most recently of Cruz Azul, back in Major League Soccer with the Dynamo.
What a goal he scored last week as a winner against Portland.
105th minute.
Second, what do you call it, longest?
Second latest.
Second latest goal scored in Major League Soccer history.
They start paying out overtime once you get past the 100th minute.
Yeah, 105th minute.
It's a free kick opportunity as Bogusz was tripped up by Shaq Moore just about on the touchline on the far side. Jack McGlynn, one of the best in these situations across the entire league with his left foot. Everybody back, all hands to the pump defensively for Dallas. Two-man wall, the rest spread out across the top of Michael Collodi's 18-yard box. Guilherme providing a right-footed option. McGlynn will have a chance with the left. And We've got another delay for a conversation between Mendoza and somebody in there.
Yeah, Svitchenko.
It's left for McGlynn to take. Whipped in off his left foot. Kamungo meets it at the near post. Fight for the loose ball and then cleared away by Kamungo once again.
A lot of dead balls for Dallas to deal with early. Not even 5 minutes in.
Eric Quill told the media this week, if it's a game that features a lot of chaos, it'll suit his side. If it's controlled, if there's stoppages and restarts, that swings more towards the Houston advantage. And that's what we've seen through 5 minutes. Now maybe a chance for Dallas to build something up with Shaq Moore.
An aggressively high line from Houston.
Shaq Moore going direct over the top, looking for Farrington. It's a great ball brought down by Farrington with the left. Farrington into the back of the net. Oh, that was a dime from beyond half field. And Logan Farrington shoulders the goal-scoring load in the absence of Musa tonight.
Sixth minute, dare I say Musa-esque on Logan Farrington's touch. And then just swimming way past the defender, creating a little bit of an angle and right footer into the far post. We said that somebody else had to put their scoring boots on. Well, Logan Farrington just did on a real sweet ball from Shaq Moore. And I just said that they're playing an aggressively high line. Dallas saw it, plays it right over the top. Farrington goes right around Antonio Carlos, 1-0.
I mean, not dissimilar to his first goal against Toronto on opening night, but that one supplied by an absolute dime from Shaq Moore.
I mean, it was
a perfect first touch. I mean, you couldn't have executed that better.
You can hit the pass, and you still got to bring that ball down, and it's not the easiest one to bring down. And I mean, he did it with looked like Dennis Burncast out there on that one.
And now all the wind is in the Dallas sails. Nolan Norris immediately steps into the passing lane, lifts it ahead for Farrington, who just strayed offside.
Farrington turns around and says, Nolan, just hit that ball a little earlier, man.
Well, it's a dream start in the Texas Derby here. Inside the opening 10 minutes, Farrington really hadn't been involved at all. His first involvement is to put Dallas in front. And here he is again. Nice first touch, finds Kaike. It's Kamungo sprinting through the lines. It breaks back for Farrington after a sliding intervention from Holmes.
Kamungo played it. I mean, Kaike played him early. Nice ball there. Kamungo just took a bad touch.
Dallas smelling blood in the water. Combination with Kaike on the left into Farrington. Back heel towards the top of the box looking for Valiente. And sent clear by Andrade for Houston. Keeping it moving back to Norris. Norris into the feet of Farrington, able to receive it on the turn now. He's got the Houston defense at 6s and 7s. He's cleared out by Bogusz, who play on the far side. And brought back for the foul now as Farrington was slow to get up. So this is going to be a free kick from about 40 yards dead center.
I think Mendoza wanted to see what Dallas was going to do with that. And honestly, Dallas still had something going there, but I think he decided the foul was tough enough. And was it, you said Bogusz, was it Herrera maybe?
Get a look at the replay. It's Herrera in conversation
I
with
thought
the
it was
referee.
Herrera. But your eyes are younger than mine, so I think it was Herrera, judging by the fact that that's who Rosendo Mendoza's talking to.
Hector Herrera is hoping that younger's not always better.
Yeah, right.
At this point in his career. But I believe you are correct. So it's going to be Valiente to line up the free kick. Something from here would remind you of an Andres Ricarte goal against Houston. I'll just say that. This is from well out. Two-man in the wall for Houston. It's lifted in towards the back post, and with no real pressure on him, it's cleared behind for a corner kick by one Hector Herrera.
Yeah, I think maybe he should have gotten a shot from Jonathan Bond there. Just tell him to leave that one, because there's not an FC Dallas player anywhere near that one. I think a little miscommunication, but works out well for Dallas in that they get their first corner kick.
And it'll be Valiente, who has the left foot to put in an in-swinging service here. Two arms raised for the Uruguayan. Jostling inside the 6-yard box as it's whipped into the danger area. It's Uragide unmarked. And he's just headed wide of the target. Huge opportunity there for Osaze.
Boy, Houston players complaining that there were a couple of picks that set Uragide free, but I'm not sure how he got so free, but it was at 8 yards. And oh man, he had nobody around him. Just put that header high.
This is interesting to look at tactically for Houston. They've got 3 men in the front line. They've got 3 guys in the wide areas. It's just Jack McGlynn in the middle of the field with 5 Dallas players around him. And Herrera is going to take the goal kick short to try and build up from deep. Farrington pursues as it is rolled out to Herrera on the right side. Herrera chips it in towards Ponce, flicked up into the air, challenge for the ball, won by Shaq Moore. Uriguide sets it down for Ramiro. Ramiro gives it away to McGlynn. And Houston now back to Jonathan Bond as we've played 10 minutes. Sviatchenko, long diagonal, floated up towards Herman Johansson. The Swede wins the header. Kappas helps it on through midfield, looking for Valiente. Turned over, and now Bogusz on the turn. Goes down, not enough for a foul. Ramiro's onto it. Dallas captain out to Johansson. Valiente pops wide. Here's Valiente. Johansson continues the run. In the midfield for Kaique. No pressure on him here. 35 yards out dead center. As he fired it out wide right, and Ramiro dummied it, leaving it for Johansson, who didn't quite expect it. It runs out for a throw.
So right now, as we sort of suspected with McGlynn and Herrera as those 2 screening midfielders in front of a back line of 5 for Houston, there's a lot of room out there. There's, we've seen Farrington, we've seen Kaique, we've seen Bernie Kamungo already be able to combine right in that area ahead of the penalty area. So Houston's going to have to do something about that, or Dallas is going to rip that apart.
Another header won by Shaq Moore. He's been absolutely flawless through 11 minutes. Fight for the ball, bouncing around in the middle of the field. Here comes Shaq Moore again. Able to step on the ball and fire it out to Bernard Kamungo. Kamungo with Dwayne Holmes on his heels. 2 guys playing wing back that have spent a bulk of their career playing elsewhere on the pitch. Holmes, a natural central midfielder, being asked to play wide right for Ben Olsen. There's a switch from McGlynn, puts Anali under some pressure from Johansson. Anali sends it down the field, but to no one in particular. Uriguide easily there first. Norris out to Kamungo. And to Kaique, set back for Kappas, and Kappas there with a loose touch straight out of play.
I don't see that very much from Kappas. He's usually really nice and tidy on the ball.
Dallas is back in action here at Toyota Stadium on Saturday, April 11th against St. Louis City. Tickets still remain for that matchup, so head to fcdallastickets.com to secure your spot. There's Kamungo looking for the 1-2, heavy touch from the Dallas number 77, but it's put out for a throw for the home side. Got the international break coming up. No game next weekend. Dallas will be back in action on April 4th at DC United. After a really tough start to the season schedule-wise, they've got an opportunity to stack some points here over these next 4 or 5 games.
Little odd situation for Houston, and that it's match day 5, and they haven't played on the road yet. They had that game against New England postponed by snow events. It wasn't really necessarily on the date. It was that they just couldn't get the grass in there.
Out for a Dallas throw on the far side. Johansson's picked up the ball. This one just on the edge of the attacking third. Into Ramiro. First time ball is to Valiente, back to him. Valiente looking for a signature moment in his new hooped uniform. Here's Norris into the feet of Kaique. Out to Kamungo. Kamungo looking to get Sviatchenko off balance, but the experienced center back wins out that time. And Bond sends it clear. Uriguide and Norris, those are the only 2 contesting for that header. They won it so comfortably. Settled down by Kamungo, fired across to Valiente in the right half space. Johansson goes on the overlap. Here's Herman Johansson in behind along the right side. Cutback ball looking for Farrington! Oh, it's a dream start in the Texas Derby tonight as Farrington strikes twice. Set up by the big Swede, Herman Johansson.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kaiike's been all over the place so far tonight, and that whole sequence starts with him being really active, helping Dallas recover a ball over there, and then it ends up getting swung around to the right side. And I sort of thought for a second that Valiente had waited too long as he's waiting for the overlap from Herman Johansson, but turns out he knew what he was doing. He just wanted Johansson to get in position, and then it just looks like a training ground move, right? Johansson squares the ball right over toward the 12, There it is, a couple of yards past the 12. Logan Farrington swings that right foot, puts it past Jonathan Bond, 2-0.
3 center backs in there, none of them within 3 yards of Logan Farrington. We talked about the lack of a defensive midfielder for Houston, and Farrington able to take advantage on that play. Great work from 2 of the new boys in Valiente and Johansson to set it up, and you couldn't have scripted a better start for Eric Quill's side.
And there again, though, Valiente has all that time because there's just no real defensive presence in front of Houston's line of back line of 5. Yeah, do you think Peter Musa's over there saying, wait a minute, why did I have to sit this one out?
Yeah, now we're on hat trick watch for a second straight week.
How important is this these two early goals for Logan Farrington? We talked about, how he just hasn't quite found the finishing range yet beyond the one. Missed a couple of other great opportunities, but it's got to be doing wonders for his confidence now.
I mean, 2 perfect picked out finishes into the bottom corner tonight. Goals 11 and 12 in his FC Dallas career. 3 on the season now as Colodey's way out off his line. Nearly had her coming together with his own man in Kamungo, but he's able to put it out for a Houston throw. And looks like they're going to line up a long throw. Sviatchenko, Carlos up from the back.
I feared for Kamungo on that one. I think he's got to learn to get out of the way when he sees his goalkeeper coming up with that kind of head of steam.
Some Dallas fans throwing the second ball back out onto the field to delay Dwayne Holmes here, who's using the towel.
Who says American fans aren't getting more sophisticated about how to help manage the game?
It's a crowded 6-yard box as Holmes launches this one in. Colodey comes out, gets a fist to it, and Farrington sends it clear.
He almost always punches with one hand, and goalkeepers are generally taught get 2 if you can, but he never misses them, does he?
Surprise heavyweight boxer in there.
He didn't quite get all of that one.
He got enough to get it away from the danger. 16 and a half minutes played, 2-0 Dallas. As there's been early fireworks in Frisco, supplied by Farrington. Antonio Carlos on the ball here for Houston in his own half. Ramiro triggering the Dallas pressure. Houston want to try and play through it if they can. It's Andrade back to Carlos. Antonio Carlos, the experienced Brazilian, restored to the team after a suspension for a red card a few weeks ago against LAFC.
Logan Farrington there working hard just to keep Hector Herrera in his cover shadow. They don't want, McGlynn's good too, but they really don't want Hector Herrera being the pivot in there.
Carlos will walk it up into the feet of Ponce. Andrade out to Anali. Johansson combining with Valiente to come away with the ball there. And Shackmore's chipped ball turns it over. Moment in transition is spurned by the Dynamo. As Norris will go back to Michael Colodey. Receives it under pressure from Ponce. Fires it out to Johansson. Johansson on the turn. Anali able to step in front. And possession back with the visitors. Anali clocked as the fastest player in Major League Soccer this season, wide on the left for Houston, and we know Johansson's got some speed as well.
Yep. Nice to see Johansson get his first MLS assist as well. Expect more of those this year.
I think Valiente will probably be credited with a second assist as well on the goal.
I believe so, because Johansson, I think, only took that one touch, so yes.
Long ball from Carlos is comfortable for Colodey to come out and receive. Fires it out to Nolan Norris. Norris looking to drive it into the channel for Farrington. It's intercepted there, and a foot race for the ball. Ponce goes down. And for me, this is ridiculous. We've brought it back for a foul. Uriguide's been booked, and Ponce's holding his face. And I'm not going to be surprised if the replay doesn't show much contact.
I mean, he put his arm out, but I agree with you, Ryan. I don't think there was that much in it.
To me, this is a clear situation where the forward knows he's not getting anywhere near the ball. And, I mean, he's leaned down into the arm, if anything. And now Osaze is going to have to deal with the yellow card the rest of the way.
Yeah, and especially considering that Hector Herrera absolutely cleaned out Logan Farrington a few minutes ago and didn't get the yellow card.
Well, that's poor. And now it's a set-piece opportunity for McGlynn to stand over, and this is actually a really dangerous spot for it. And hit a sort of bending ball towards the back post that might ask questions.
No, what I would say is it was at the other end of the field last year, but this is almost the exact spot that McGlynn hit his worldly last year against Dallas. Right there on that second cut of the grass outside the penalty area.
Looks like it'll be a two-man wall once it gets set. Valiente and Kaique, not the tallest in the Dallas team.
I mean, I'm not even sure there was enough for a foul there, Ryan. It's puzzling, but it is what it is.
Well, Ponce is he's played for Marcelo Bielsa in his career. He's got a little bit of the dark arts about him. Maybe sensing what his team needs here. Maybe unethical in going about finding it. But it's a set-piece opportunity for McGlynn. Bending ball in towards the back post. First contact made by Carlos. Spins out. Looks like last touch off the Dynamo, but it's going to be a corner. Height on both sides with both managers employing the three center back formation. Carlos will be a principal target wearing the armband tonight for Houston. As McGlynn lines up an outswinger from the far side. And somebody should probably tell Rosendo Mendoza nobody came to the game to watch him referee, as he stopped it once again. Now here's McGlynn's service. In towards the near post, headed away by Logan Farrington. And Valiente up against Nolly on the top of the box. And Nolly nearly gave it away. Here's a deflected cross from the right side. Comfortable for Collodi. And Collodi spots Farrington running all alone and behind. Houston in retreat. And it was Holmes that got back before Farrington might have been one-on-one with Jonathan Bond. And now Ramiro goes down with arms raised for Bogusz. Nothing given. It's Bogusz on the far side.
Yeah, in fairness, I don't think there's anything there. Bogusz is bigger than Ramiro.
Now Herrera on the ball. Out to McGlynn. In behind for Anali. Speed of the German. Up against Shaq Moore. Loses his footing. And now Moore has the upper hand. Forces him back. Bending ball in from Bogusz. Comfortable for Collodi to catch. Thought about going long for Farrington once again, who was one-on-one. Instead rolled it out to Kappas. Put him in a bit of a rough spot. Kappas able to keep possession. Looks like Houston stepped the press up, now with a 2-goal deficit. Dallas able to break it. Valiente finds Ramiro out to Kappas. Spots the run from Johansson on the far side, just under hits the diagonal. Deflected up in the air, and then Carlos just goes flying over the back of Logan Farrington. And I would hope to see the yellow card come out here. But it'll be a free kick from about maybe just under 30 yards away from Jonathan Bond's goal. And that was a big man landing on top of a pretty big dog and Logan Farrington.
I mean, I don't know if you didn't see Farrington or if he was just clumsy, but he just cleaned Logan Farrington out.
It was Anali trying to clear it, put it straight up in the air, and I mean, Carlos has no right to the ball there. He's 5 yards away from it. He does get his head on it, but only because of a ton of contact.
I think maybe he escapes the yellow card because he's got his eyes on the ball the whole time. I don't think he saw Farrington. But there's still a responsibility for the player, to watch out for the other player's safety. I'm a little surprised there that, considering he just gave Asante Urguide a yellow card, that Rosendo Mendoza didn't pull one out there.
5 players across the top of the Houston Dynamo box. Ramiro steps over it, leaves it for Valiente. It's Joaquin Valiente, chip towards the back post. Urguide nods it across, and we've brought it back for a foul. And McGlynn takes it quickly, putting it out into space for Guilherme, but Kappas was tracking it all the way and got a foot on the ball, knocking it off the Brazilian and out for a Dallas throw. Great work there from Christian Kappas.
30 yards there, dead center. You're a little surprised that somebody in Dallas didn't want to have a shot there?
2-0 up. I mean,
I agree. Yes.
If I'm Logan Farrington, I'm putting my name in the hat there to take that one. Get a heat check.
We've seen him take a few free kicks in training.
We've seen him score one in the MLS Next Pro final a couple seasons ago. Herrera and McGlynn settle it down in midfield for Houston. Andrade over to Carlos. Wide here was Fiatchenko into the feet of Guilherme. Promising start to life in Major League Soccer for the Brazilian, but nothing to speak of so far tonight. Now it's Dallas combining through the midfield. Valiente trying to nod it on towards Kaique, turned over. Guilherme flicks it on for Ponce. Shackmore does the sensible thing and just puts it out for a throw. And Dallas with the luxury of just doing the sensible thing for the rest of the 90th tonight as they hold the 2-goal advantage thanks to Logan Farrington.
Well, they have let Houston move the game back into Dallas's end a little bit more.
Guilherme struggling a little bit. He's being checked on by the referee. Guilherme didn't want the training staff to come on. The referee waved them on and now tells them never mind. Dwayne Holmes takes the throw. And Guilherme goes down begging for a foul. He's not going to get. Now Kamungo on the dribble. Kaique turns, tripped up by Herrera. And again, it's an obvious yellow card.
And you know, well, that one maybe not, but I mean, that's twice that Hector Herrera's committed a pretty tough foul, and you know those two together. And Kappas, you don't see him get animated, but he goes skipping up to Resenda Mendoza, you know, saying, when are you going to show them a yellow card?
Kaique went over skipping on one foot, showing the cleat marks on his ankle. Ramiro takes it into the feet of Farrington. First time ball, looking for the switch. Intercepted by Andrade, but a great first touch from Shaq Moore. Finds Johansson. Johansson gets it back from Ramiro, keeps it moving. I feel like we're seeing Shaq Moore on a different level tonight. Had the assist on the opening goal, and he just looks so sharp with every action. Back to Collodi.
Hey, you know, when your best player, Petra Musa, has to take a seat on the bench, just precautionary, but you need players to step up that way. So good for Shaq Moore. Logan Farrington as well.
Norris turning it over on this near side. Houston back in possession with Antonio Carlos. And Valiente will chase them all the way back to Jonathan Bond. Off the left foot of Bond, Johansson hops in the passing lane, wins it back for Dallas. Ramiro sets it down for Kappas. Kappas driving forward. Runs into two Houston players on the top of the box, then goes sliding in. We wondered if there was some extra emotion in the game tonight for him, and I think he's playing with that extra edge. As Ramiro now the latest to intercept and win possession back for Dallas. Valiente back to Moore. Bounces it with Christian Kappas, and now Uragide in the middle of the back three.
Valiente did get the second assist on that Farrington goal.
Oh, Kamungo and Kaique looking for a nice 1-2 of the left side, just out of the reach of Bernard on the return.
By the way, a little surprise here, but Collodi got an assist on the first goal.
Well, how about that? I think he can thank Shaq Moore and potentially Logan Farrington as well. But we had here's a giveaway from Collodi, and it's Guilherme in behind. Michael Collodi stranded, and Guilherme rolls it past him at the near post. And a hand up for the homegrown goalkeeper as Houston gets a lifeline.
Well, it's risky there from Collodi because I thought he had a pass off to his right. And I think that's what everybody else saw too. And it looked like as he passed that ball off to his left toward Nolan Norris, I think it surprised everybody, and it was just not a good hit. And it's just a mistake by a young goalkeeper. I mean, he's got a really easy pass out to Shaq Moore. He never even sees Guilherme in there. And then he's just in no man's land.
Well, Guilherme applies the finish. He's now up to 4 goals in 4 games for Houston. And it's game on as we played a half hour. Dallas the flying start, Houston with the response.
It's frustrating, though, from an FC Dallas perspective because last week San Diego didn't have much at all, and Dallas gave them 2 penalty kicks in the first half. And now to gift Houston a goal that way when outside of those first 2 early early restarts, 3 early restarts. They haven't had anything.
Another moment there, Carlos and Farrington. Farrington stayed down. It's with Holmes up the right side for Houston. Ball sent into the middle, and that one hit the arm of Shaq Moore.
So they're gonna say, Rosendo Mendoza is saying right now it bounced up off of Shaq Moore and hit his arm, so that's not gonna be, typically that's not gonna be called as a penalty kick, but you're right, it did bounce up and hit him. That arm, it was sort of, a chicken wing was waving out there.
Well, it's a corner kick for Houston. I'm sure they'll check it first. See if we get a replay to take a look at it and see if the referee made a correct assessment. If he did, I'll give him the credit he deserves on that call.
I thought Antonio Carlos could have been called for a foul there.
Dallas needing to stem the tide of this momentum. Guilherme whipped it in. Free header, 2-2. Eric Sviatchenko at the back post, nods it past Collodi, off the ground and in. And that early start now completely undone as Houston strike for 2 in 2 minutes.
You know, a while ago, Uriguide had a free header. He missed it. Sviatchenko just didn't make the same mistake. So Dallas defends these corner kicks with a hybrid of man marking and zone, and somehow Sviatchenko, a while ago, he was one of them being marked, and he is a set-piece target. But somebody lost him, and none of the free men in that zone pick up the space, and Sviatchenko is free at about the same spot that Uriguide had a while ago, and he heads his ball down straight. They tell you to aim for the line. He did it. It's 2-2.
Well, this has flipped on its head, hasn't it? 31st minute now, 2-2. This is just some more Texas Derby drama. You never know what to expect when these two teams get together. Immediately in response, Petter Musa and the Dallas substitutes out to get warmed up and ready. We don't expect to see him until the second half, but the Dallas fans serenading him under the Rhine as Uriguide rolls into midfield for Kaique.
I mean, you have to say, you know, Dallas did let its intensity drop after the second goal when it was starting to look like it might be a laugher. I mean, 15 minutes, it's 2-0, you're at home. And credit Houston. What was the numbers you gave us a while ago, Sam?
2 goals up. Houston hadn't won in over 200 games. You know, I felt you were tempting fate with that one, but such is the life in the booth.
And look, Dallas came back from 2 down last week to get the draw. So it's not like we haven't seen it within the last 8 days.
Mungo takes a throw deep in his own territory. Valiente trying to flick it on.
But for sure, Dallas, they got to flip that switch now. They've got to regain the intensity that they started out a derby match with, and then sort of just let slip and just took their foot off the accelerator.
It's Houston with a bit between their teeth. It's Guilherme with a goal and an assist. He continues to rack up the goal contributions. Rolls this one in behind for Lawrence Anali. Lawrence Anali with all his speed past Collodi, and he makes it 3-2. And you've rarely seen a game swing like this within the context of the first half alone.
I mean, that's just something else. I mean, Dallas defense has just fallen apart. And that was just, that looked like one of the exercises where they put the little training mannequins out there. It's just a little slipped in ball from the left side, and Anali just runs by Herman Johansson, who just loses track of him, pushes the ball past Michael Collodi and scores into the empty net.
Well then.
Well said. Well then.
Dallas leading 2-0 in the 28th minute, trail 3-2 in the 33rd minute. And as this game has shown us, there's plenty of game left to be played. But Dallas needs to stem the tide, and they need to do it quickly.
No, it's more than stemming the tide. I mean, they've got to find their level of intensity again, because it's just falling through the floor. And that's just not good from Herman Johansson.
Here's a chance for him to make up at the other end. A great ball out to him, sets it back for Valiente. Now Kappas wide for Valiente again. Pops it inside for Ramiro. Kappas back to Shaq Moore. Houston defending with all 11. As Uriguide whips it out to Kaique on the near side.
You know, 10 minutes ago, I was going to comment that Houston can't do what they came here to do, which was keep a slower tempo. And now they're in a position to where they actually can. They can sit back, slow the game down.
Valiente into Kappas, looking to get turned in the middle of the field. Ramiro there to help him out. Finds Kaike. Kaike back to Ramiro. Through the lines into Valiente with a lot of pace. Valiente just about kept it alive. Farrington banging bodies with the center backs. Fight for the second ball. Farrington juggling it between he and Valiente. Appeals for a handball. We play on. Kappas at the top of the box called for a foul against Herrera. And there's a whole lot of frustrated FC Dallas fans in Frisco right now.
I'm sure there's a frustrated coach down there in a red hat, too. And, Rosendo Mendoza is asking him to hold for just a second while they will give that a quick check.
I think it did hit the arm, but the arm was definitely down by the side of the Houston player. Oh, there's movement to the ball.
A little movement. It was Antonio Carlos.
They're still holding it. And if there was ever a time Dallas could use a lifeline, one that they handed to San Diego last week, it would be real nice if the call from Arlington and Ismir Pekmic sent Rosendo Mendoza to the monitor.
I mean, his arm, Antonio Carlos' arm is down by his side, but he does sort of move toward it a little bit. And he's right on, he's definitely inside the penalty area because he's right on the line.
Well, it looks like it's been checked and cleared. No penalty. That was borderline for the Dynamo captain. Bond sends it long. Norris wins the header. Kappas puts it over the top. Valiente makes the run. Andrade just about gets there first and gets it back to Bond. Farrington at full sprint to get out to close it down. He's unable to do so. It's dropped in behind for Bogusz on the far side. Shackmore at full sprint to try and get back in. Gets a foot on the ball, but Bogusz continues on. Here's Ponce, shot blocked by Norris. Norris stays down. Volleyed effort into the back of the net, but it's brought back for a foul.
And the yellow card is coming out here. Not sure who it's going to go to. Somebody in the orange.
There's about 4 bodies on the ground right now on either side. Ponce looks like he fouled Ramiro. Steve, did you see who put it in the back of the net? Because that was some hit as well.
No, it was, but I think I had already heard the whistle. I think everybody heard the whistle, so it was a kind of a free play.
Well, but it was Bogusz making it happen for Houston. It's
a good tackle from Moore.
Honestly, not had much to do, and a bicycle kick, and there's 3 guys around him. He's got to be smarter than that.
Yeah,
Ezekiel Ponce.
Yeah. And I think it was actually Uriguide who actually sort of so Uriguide comes through. His knee hits Nolan Norris, and then as Ramiro is sort of after he gets kicked, he comes around and kicks Norris in the head.
Eric Cool said he wanted chaos tonight.
Well, I don't think that's what he had in mind.
Anything after the 15th minute has probably been far from what he had in mind. As Colodis swing a left foot at this and send it clear into the crowd.
Well, here's something else that's got to be concerning for FC Dallas. I mean, they've done a pretty good job in certain places defensively, but, they allowed 2 to a Toronto team that was missing its striker at the moment. Then to allow 3 and now 3 again at home, it's not great.
Chipped ball into the feet of Farrington, set down for Valiente, wide for Kamungo. Kamungo plays it off. Sviatchenko, one of the 3 Houston goal scorers, out for a throw. The underlying numbers sort of support that argument that Dallas has, by and large, played well defensively, but found ways to concede early in the season, and that's continued here in the first half tonight.
Well, it's mistakes, Bernie Kamungo missing duels, and then Herman Johansson with a penalty kick, and then Shaq Moore with a penalty kick. Michael Colodi tonight on an errant pass. Free runner on a corner kick.
Dallas have a free kick here. Some considerable distance out on this near side. It'll be Valiente with the targets up from the back.
You know, David Martinez, it's a worldie at LAFC. You just tip your hat and say, you know, that sometimes you just got to say that guy hit a great goal, but these aren't great goals they're giving up.
Valiente under hitting the first man in Bogusz. Shaq Moore raced to get to it. Man, Anali can fly.
I don't understand what Shaq Moore was doing there.
I think he underestimated Lawrence Anali's speed. We've already seen it once on the goal. And Anali's down. Looks like he's in some pain because of that slow start from Shaq Moore. Had to go into a tackle.
Well, I think, and it was all ball, but you know, sometimes if you hit the ball the right way and the other player's foot is on it, it can still do some damage.
Anali, who showed this ability to change the game early in his Houston career, then went down with an ACL injury in August of 2024. Seems to only now be getting back to his first goal in quite a while.
To his fastest self.
Certainly has that. Shaq Moore, who started the game impeccably, like the rest of the Dallas defense, has dropped the level as the half has gone on. Here's Norris lifting it ahead, looking for Kaike. Sviatchenko nods it up into the air. Fight for the second ball. Sviatchenko wins it again. It's Holmes who goes down looking for a foul he won't get. Ball bouncing around off a Dallas player. Breaks for Kaike, and it'll be a Dallas throw.
Look, right now, tactically, Dallas has to take advantage of the fact that they've got two guys screening that defense that don't want to play defense.
Norris whipped in towards Johansson. Header at the back post on target, but comfortable for Bond. Great ball there from the homegrown Nolan Norris, and Johansson, who made the mistake on the Anali goal, nearly able to put it right. So Urquide steps in front of Ponce at the other end. Kamungo up the left, leaves that one behind Kaike, turns it over to McGlynn.
Dallas' passing has been sloppy in places tonight. That was another one. I mean, not just, you know, guys you usually depend on, Kappas a little bit, and Colodi.
What a weird first half we've witnessed here.
No lies detected.
Norris now wearing the score of the game on his shirt, 3-2. It's to the visitors. Shaq Moore into midfield for Ramiro. First time ball hits Hector Herrera. And McGlynn lifts it up in the air out to Anali. And Anali's got it at his feet here up against Johansson. Deflected by Valiente, but still makes its way back to Andrade. It's Kappas leading the press. Houston able to play across from left to right out to Guilherme. I believe a goal and 2 assists for the Brazilian. Not on the same page as McGlynn that time. It's how to play for a Dallas throw. It is a goal and 2 assists for Guilherme. Norris into the feet of Valiente. Valiente, nice flick, but Kaike didn't read it. Ends up going through to nobody. Jonathan Bond sends it clear for Houston. Dallas winning a lot of those first balls. The center backs in particular standing up pretty well in the air. As the offside flag is up against Valiente. Delayed call there. And Bond will come out to take it. We've got a couple minutes before I'm sure what will be a decent amount of stoppage time with 5 goals here in the first half.
A VAR check, a couple of brief injury checks.
Norris wins another header. Valiente sets it down for Kappas. Feels like another one of those games, just like last week, where really, by and large, 3 goals out of, I mean, really, how much offensive pressure has Houston generated without Dallas's help? Foul whistled on the far side, goes Dallas's way. Goes short, get the ball back rolling here in the final minute of the 45.
Houston is still playing this high line, and Dallas just scorched it early and then has sort of stopped trying.
Norris will try here. Looking for Kaike, sent high and clear by Carlos. Kappas back towards the Houston goal. Valiente fighting for it. There's the pit bull. Sliding tackle from Sviatchenko's a nasty one from behind. Kaike rolling around in pain as the yellow card is out for the experienced Danish center back. I think that was just a moment where the quickness from Kaike got him in a spot where he's going to take the brunt of the challenge. Maybe Sviatchenko didn't expect him to step in front there. I don't know, actually. That's a rough one.
It's he earned his yellow card.
We're not in the business of giving the Houston player the benefit of the doubt on this show. That was a heavy challenge. And now a free kick opportunity as we're into the first of 6 added on for Valiente. His last one was under hit. He needs some more quality on this attempt. Similar spot, wide on the left.
You do need quality, and the thing is, since the second goal in the 15th minute, to be honest, Dallas hasn't generated much in the way of scoring chances. Herman Johansson's header, pretty tame at the back post, being really the only shot.
Right arm raised for Valiente. More air underneath this one towards the back post. Brought down at the top of the box for Kappas through traffic. And Bond able to palm it wide for a corner kick. Oh, but the offside flag is up. Maybe somebody in the way of Bond's vision. They won't get the corner.
I didn't see that. Well, I was going to say that I thought maybe Bond had saw that late. Yeah, there was somebody, it looks like Kaike maybe right in front.
Bond getting the hurry up from the referee. Houston will be very content from 2-0 down to take a lead into the halftime break.
Yeah, I just caught a quick replay. It wasn't even Kaike just standing in front of him. He actually went up and tried to head the ball, so he was clearly in an offside position.
Norris sends it high, not too far clear. It's out to Anali, battling with Valiente for the loose ball. It's Anali who comes away with it. Carlos looking to get in behind for Anali. Anali jumps into Johansson, throws himself on the ground, and in fact, he committed the foul.
Yeah, Herman Johansson absolutely had position there.
It's a lot easier to complain about antics from a winning position. There's been some frustrating antics on the Houston side tonight. Anali the latest, as he's now back up and perfectly fine. Shackmore, long diagonal. Farrington flicks it along. Kaike fighting for it. Top of the box. Bouncing for Valiente, but the whistle goes. Foul against Dallas. And there's a very heated discussion between Olsen, Quill, the fourth official, the linesman, all right beneath us.
Yeah, I think what Eric Quill, I'm guessing here, but every time there's a whistle, there's a Houston player on the ground, and we said that Houston just wanted to have a slower tempo, and I think that's just a little bit of clock manipulation. And, you get a lead, you've earned the right to do some of that.
Halfway through 6 minutes added on, Collodi sends it far and clear. Farrington contesting it. It's Carlos who wins the header. Holmes with 3 Dallas players around him makes a sprint for the sideline. Kamungo able to intercept. Ramiro finds Kaike. Holmes defending from the wrong side. Kaike trying to split the double team. Does find the ball back to Urquide. Lifts it over the top for Valiente.
Kaike's been active tonight. He's been all over the ball. We'll find some numbers at halftime.
Andrade forced into a clearance near the corner flag. Straight out of play for a Dallas throw. We'll see if they opt to launch this one into the box. Looks like they will. A couple minutes remaining in first half stoppage time. Johansson. He's a 6'3", 6'4" target himself, but looks like he's got the longest throw in the Dallas squad tonight. Heaves it in towards the near post, flicked along into the middle. Kaike on the bicycle kick attempt. Did a little bit better than Ponce in terms of not kicking his opponent, but couldn't get it on target.
I've got Kaike with 22 touches. Seems like more than that, doesn't it?
His 21st was an attempt at some acrobatics. Ended up comfortably wide of the Houston goal. Not sure how we're expected to break this down in 15 minutes in the halftime break, but we're going to give it a try. Stick with us here on the FC Dallas Radio Network. And, of course, we've got the prospect of Petar Musa playing hero in the second half still to come. So McGlynn launches it downfield. Uriguide wins the header. Herrera back towards the Dallas goal. Herrera switching ball out to Anali. 1v1 with Johansson in the wide area. Bogusz across to support. Here's a giveaway and maybe a chance to counter. Kappas wanted to go direct, couldn't find a teammate. And that's been emblematic of pretty much the last 30 minutes of action now.
That's just Dallas not being at its best tonight because they've caught Houston with the line way up high. Kappas has the ball 10 yards from Houston's last line of restraint, and nobody's really making an aggressive run.
Big header one there, contested header won by Norris. He's fouled. We've got Sviatchenko juggling the ball and then kicking it out of bounds, and that's all we'll do here in the first half. First half with 5 goals, a dream start to the Texas Derby. 2 goals for Logan Farrington, erased with a mistake from Collodi and just a whole lot of chaos from there. 3-2 Houston going into the break. We'll try and break it down for you in just about 15 minutes over the halftime break, but you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
With the 2026 Toyota Tacoma's all-terrain capability and advanced tech, you can do whatever you want.
Whatever we want?
Yep,
whatever we want! Like waking up in a tent with 0 cell service on purpose.
Or driving down a rocky trail that was never actually a road.
Or going out and doing donuts before we've had breakfast.
Or catching sunrise by the lake, and maybe even a fish if we're lucky.
The 2026 Toyota Tacoma, for every kind of adventure. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See toyota.com for details.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern. The future of medicine sparks here.
It's a moment when I show up, God, I'm saying wow.
Welcome to the world of WinStar, the casino of FC Dallas, where 10,000 electronic games, plus roulette, craps, and blackjack is just the beginning. Get lost in our 2-story luxury spa, rest in one of our vast hotel towers, and catch the biggest names in music and comedy at the spectacular Lucas Oil Live, all just 1 hour north of DFW. So come live in the wow at the world of WinStar.
God, I'm saying wow.
After just over 45 minutes at Toyota Stadium, it was a wild Texas Derby as Houston Dynamo lead 3-2 over FC Dallas at the halftime break. Hello, everybody. It is the FC Dallas halftime show brought to you tonight by your local Toyota dealer, Toyota. Let's go places. Also brought to you by Advocare, building champions together. I'm your host, Sam Hale. We'll be joined in just a moment by our halftime crew of Steve Davis and Garrett Meltzer. But let's start first with our halftime highlights. It started well for FC Dallas as in the 6th minute, the big dogs started barking.
Now maybe a chance for Dallas to build something up with Shaq Moore.
An aggressively high line from Houston.
Shaq Moore going direct over the top, looking for Farrington. It's a great ball brought down by Farrington with the left. Farrington into the back of the net. Oh, that was a dime from beyond half field. And Logan Farrington shoulders the goal-scoring load in the absence of Musa tonight.
Farrington's second of the season made it 1-0 Dallas in the 6th minute. And then in the 14th minute, he did it again.
Settled down by Kamungo. Fired across to Valiente in the right half space. Johansson goes on the overlap. Here's Herman Johansson in behind along the right side. Cut back ball looking for Farrington! Oh, it's a dream start in the Texas Derby tonight as Farrington strikes twice. set up by the big Swede, Herman Johansson.
Farrington's third of the season, second of the night, made it 2-0 Dallas in the 14th minute, but it would only last about another quarter hour as Guillaume in the 29th minute, Eric Sviatchenko in the 31st minute, and Lawrence Anali in the 33rd minute would give Houston the tie, then the lead. A 3 goals unanswered in 5 minutes made it 3-2 to Houston, which is our score at halftime. Let's get you tonight's halftime stats. Those are brought to you by UMB Bank. Possession-wise goes the way of Dallas, 51-49. 6 shots for Dallas, 4 of those on target. 5 shots for Houston, 3 of those on target. 4 corners for the visitors, 1 for the home side. You've got 2 saves tonight for Jonathan Bond, none for Michael Collodi. 8 fouls for Houston, 7 for Dallas. 2 yellow cards for the Dynamo, 1 for the Burn. Now let's bring in our halftime crew. It's Garrett Meltzer and Steve Davis. And guys, I don't know where to start. So Garrett, go ahead, give us something if you don't mind.
Yeah, what a half, 5 goals. But FC Dallas is going to be incredibly disappointed to come out, start really strong, score 2 fantastic goals. Logan Farrington really stepping into the void without Petar Musa starting. But then to give it away, 3 goals in 5 minutes, that just cannot happen. I understand they were deflated after a Michael Collodi mistake, but you got to leave it at just that 1 goal, right? They got on their back heels, and they let in 2 pretty easy goals after that. So I'm sure Eric Quill is getting into him right now in the locker room.
Well, boys, I'll tell you what. Texas Derby, I've seen a lot. I've seen Ricardo Clark go full kung fu on Carlos Ruiz. I've seen full-on Donnie Brooks in preseason games. Great goals, late goals. That half, that's right up there with them, though. I would just have to say a couple of things. First of all, what a start by FC Dallas. I mean, Shaq Moore, he's only missed two passes today out of 25. He's 3 of 3 on his long balls. I thought he was doing great defensively, and he plays a sweet ball into Logan Farrington. Farrington looking like Dennis Burkamp there with 3 touches to push the ball past Jonathan Bond at the back post, and then a nice assist from Valiente, his first assist, Herman Johansson's first assist. I think they just dropped their level, Garrett. I think the intensity dropped. It wasn't Texas Derby intensity, and they paid a big price. And what we talked about a while ago was that Dallas defensively, they're not getting a lot of pressure from these opposing offenses. You know, San Diego didn't have anything in the first half last week. Dallas gave them 2 penalty kicks. This week, there's really not that much happening for Houston offensively. But Michael Collodi makes a mistake, and Herman Johansson loses a man, and they let a free runner go on a corner kick. These are just. I'm just going to say it. These are schoolboy mistakes.
They're very preventable goals that are happening right now. The San Diego one, I think, was a little bit different, where penalties, they happen. They're unfortunate. These goals, I mean, these were FC Dallas shooting themselves in the foot for the most part. And it's such a shame because the first 2 goals were 2 of Dallas's best team goals of the season. It's fantastic individual work from multiple players on each goal in the sequence. Really good to see Joaquin Valiente and Herman Johansson, 2 newcomers, combining to create that second goal for Logan Farrington. They're doing exactly what they're brought in to do. But you can't take your foot off the pedal, unfortunately, especially in a game like this. Houston is not going to sit back after conceding 2. That's going to wake them up, and Dallas needs to wake up now, too.
And that's, I think, what makes it even much stranger to see how the last about 30 minutes played out is because Dallas had everything. They had this game by the you-know-whats, and then just to let it go, it's really not something we've seen this year at all. We saw a very tenacious Dallas team against Nashville, against Toronto, even against LAFC and San Diego. To see them just switch off like a light switch tonight, Garrett, it's perplexing to say the least.
It is surprising because Eric Quill preaches, mentality is his big thing. It's about getting buy-in. It's about having dogs out there. He always uses that word. It's the dogs. They always have the fight. That's never what they're lacking. They definitely lacked that in the last 15, 20 minutes of that game, and they couldn't have lacked anything more during that 5-minute spell when they let in 3 goals. It's just, I didn't recognize that team for the last 15 minutes or so, unfortunately.
I would say, Garrett, honestly, it's more than that because 15 minutes, 2-0. For the next 10 minutes, somewhere around there, Houston moved the lines up. They weren't sitting back as far, and they really sort of tilted the game back into Dallas's end. And I said it. I said, the last 10 minutes, Dallas has sort of dropped their intensity level a little bit. And sure enough, that's about when the first goal went in, second goal, third goal. Look, not to make any excuse for FC Dallas, because that's, to give up 3 like that, kind of inexcusable. But I think as a team, you have to learn how to manage situations. And one of the situations you manage is when you go up early and it started to look like, hey, this could this could be a laugher. Nashville beats Orlando tonight 5-0. Nashville is a veteran team. They've got Mukhtar, they've got Surridge. They've got veterans out there that once they were up 2-0, they were probably saying, we're getting a third. Hey, we get the next goal. Dallas let their intensity drop, and you can't see it happening. You're up 2-0 at home over your rival, and in 15 minutes you probably feel pretty good about yourself. Well, there's a danger in that, obviously.
And you do wonder, without Sebastian Ibeaga in the lineup, we know he's a veteran and he's a big leader. He's a huge voice. I would say he talks the most on the field, and he's all about that intensity and getting buy-in from the players around him. You do wonder if without him in the team, which he's almost always been in the team for the last 3 years, he's really the leader, especially along the back line. Without him, do you wonder, did they lose a little bit there? And you can see it especially on the third goal when Lawrence Anali makes that run. I mean, it starts in almost at midfield, that you could see it from a mile away. No one on the back line really picked it up.
So as we look at the options here for the second half, we've got a couple minutes left in the halftime show here. Steve, I'll start with you. It's not like there's anything like, the intensity is the issue here, but it's not like there's anything necessarily tactically they're doing wrong. It's just getting their heads right. If you're a coach, how do you handle that?
I disagree.
Okay, go ahead.
I think that you've got McGlynn and Hector Herrera sitting as the two screeners in front of the defense. Valiente has his first assist, but if he's going to be a string puller, he's got to be it. This is it. You're not going to find a better situation in there defensively. Now, the back line of 5 for Houston, they're stepping up aggressively. Svinchenko in particular, he's stepping up aggressively into those areas, but still, there's a lot of room in there. You're going to be a string puller for this team. Here's your chance. This is it. There is room in there to play in front of that line of 5. They've just got to find the half spaces, find the spaces, pull those guys, those 2 guys out of there, let Kayake, let Farrington run into those slots. There is something tactically that they need to do. They also need to do over the top. When Houston is caught up high, go over the top. And that means not just the passers, but a guy like Valiente or Logan Farrington, they've got to curl or run and get in behind, and give somebody a target to do that. So there are things tactically that Dallas can do, but they're not. It's not that hard. We're not talking about Pep Guardiola stuff here.
Yeah, it's not rocket science. And Garrett, we mentioned in the pregame, Eric Quill said that this game is it's a chaos game. It's a chaotic game. It benefits us. There's one name on the team sheet that I see when I see chaos and I see that sort of mentality. At some point, I think, especially if you're trailing, isn't this the Sam Sarver game if you're looking for chaos and just a lot of energy and a lot of effort?
He absolutely is a chaos merchant. When he gets in, he just kind of runs everywhere. I'm not sure how much thought is always behind it, but he makes things happen, and the proof is in the pudding. He wins penalties. He gets assists. He hasn't had a ton of minutes this season, but, if you're looking for more chaos, he'd be the man. But there's also another guy on the bench that I think we'll see if Dallas needs a goal, and that's Petar Musa.
Yeah, and Steve, that's kind of the question here. If you're Eric Quill, you're trying to manage your star striker before he heads on the international break, but you need a win here. You cannot settle for a loss, especially the way that this loss is unfolding. That break glass of case and Merch is probably looking real shiny right about now for Coach Quill, is it not?
Well, the thing is, Sam, we know he's carrying just a little bit of a minor injury. Only he and I guess Eric Quill and the Dallas training staff know the extent of that. And, just real talk here, it's so important that for this organization, for Petar Musa, that he gets into that Croatian team. So we're not just talking about tonight. Clearly this is important, but for the club, for him to get into the Croatian team for these 2 games coming up against Colombia and Brazil and Orlando, that might propel him to get on the into the World Cup. That's important for Petar Musa. It's also important for the club here, just in terms of having the best Petar Musa and in terms of valuation. So all those things are in play as they talk about how many minutes and how they might handle Petar Musa tonight.
Well, it's still all on the table for Dallas, even as they trail 3-2 at halftime here in the Dynamo in the first leg of the Texas Derby. We'll take a break, and when we come back, Ryan and Steve will get you ready for second half kickoff here at Toyota Stadium. This is FC Dallas Soccer, presented by Toyota here on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, The future of medicine sparks here.
It's a moment when I show up, God, I'm saying wow.
Welcome to the world of WinStar, the casino of FC Dallas, where 10,000 electronic games, plus roulette, craps, and blackjack is just the beginning. Get lost in our 2-story luxury spa, rest in one of our vast hotel towers, and catch the biggest names in music and comedy at the spectacular Lucas Oil Live, all just 1 hour north of DFW. So come live in the wow at the world of WinStar.
God, I'm saying wow.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
With the 2026 Toyota Tacoma's all-terrain capability and advanced tech, you can do whatever you want.
Whatever we want?
Yep,
Whatever we want! Like waking up in a tent with 0 cell service on purpose.
Or driving down a rocky trail that was never actually a road.
Or going out and doing donuts before we've had breakfast.
Or catching sunrise by the lake, and maybe even a fish if we're lucky.
The 2026 Toyota Tacoma, for every kind of adventure. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See toyota.com for details.
We welcome you back for the second half of action here from Toyota Stadium. It is a huge second half, a chance for Dallas to put that nightmare 30 minutes behind them. And they're going to have Petter Musa on their side in doing so. He makes his way onto the field. Second half substitution as he replaces Christian Kappus. Looks like a shift to a front two with Farrington staying out there after a 2-goal first half. He might be the only one that can really hang his hat on those 45 minutes. But really, Steve, just like the rest of the team, it was about 15 minutes, and then from there, Houston took control of the game. I've caught you in a bad spot there.
No, you drop your level of intensity, and you allow the other team to take control.
It'll be a Houston kickoff here in the second half. Dallas is number 9 off of a hat trick against San Diego, looking to play hero once again tonight, this time off the bench. A couple of big games on the international stage up and coming for the Moose. Croatia facing Brazil and Colombia in Orlando over the next week. But now his eyes are on facing one of his favorite opponents in Major League Soccer. 3 goals and an assist in 4 previous matchups with Houston. Every time he's played more than 45 minutes, he's gotten on the score sheet. He's got 45 minutes to work with tonight.
Maybe he saw that Sam Surridge hit that hat trick, and he wants that golden boot lead back.
Whatever motivation he needs to dig deep and find, along with his teammates tonight, we will take it as we are back underway for the second half of action in Frisco. And we'll see if Eric Quill's, I'm sure, impassioned team talk can embolden his team, as Kamungo got a nice piece of the ball there, but is called for a foul in the opening seconds against Holmes. Ball lifted down the right side, a slip for Ponce, ends up being an impromptu slide tackle on Uragide, but it bounces through for Michael Collodi, and really for young Michael Collodi, this is the first moment where he's has to mentally bounce back from a mistake. First goal really produced by a loose pass from him. Here's Farrington on the turn in the middle of the field. He's held back, and there's an easy yellow card out of the pocket for Dwayne Holmes. You know, I mentioned that Kappus was a little sloppy in a couple of moments where he's usually just not. He's usually very tidy on the ball. And so you wonder if he had a little bit of an injury either coming into it or picked up something early in the run of play. So it looks like similar to what we saw the opening couple of weeks of the season, and 2 players up front are Musa and Farrington, with Valiente supporting them, sort of shifted over towards the right side a little bit. As we'll restart with a free kick for Nolan Norris, 10 yards into the Houston half. Yeah, so instead of it being, well, I'll let you take it back here. Diagonal ball towards Johansson. Johansson rises up, nods it back towards Valiente. Herrera steps in front. Bogusz with Shagmore on his case, forced back. Sent down the line. Johansson got a piece of it, not enough to keep it away from the Dynamo. Back for Dallas, finding Norris. Kaike in the middle, turns, finds Farrington. Farrington on the turn, trying to keep his feet, unable to do so. Oh, and that feels like one of those where the referee sort of punishing the player for trying to be honest and stay up.
I agree. I thought he would call it back anyway.
Ramiro, sliding tackle, wins it back in the middle.
Valiente got their wires crossed there.
Here's Moore looking for another diagonal, this time over the top for Kamungo, and Sviatchenko nods it back to his goalkeeper with Kamungo in between the ball and the player. That was risky.
We talked about that at halftime, Ryan, that Dallas needs to try to go over the top a little bit more.
Holmes able to skip past Norris, swinging the ball in towards the back post. Johansson, I think, got a touch. He did, just enough to flick it out the other side for a throw.
You know, Houston, again, hasn't created a lot on their own, so you try to go over the top, push those lines back a little bit, or do what Logan Farrington did and take advantage of it, because, you know, if you lose possession, again, it's not like Houston's doing much with it.
Another throw in, this time from just next to the corner flag here on the near side for Lawrence Anali. As it stands, has the go-ahead goal in the game. Looks like Dwayne Holmes is the long throw specialist for Houston. He's come across from the opposite side to take this. Everybody back defensively for Dallas. As McGlynn offers a short option, Holmes waves him off. Sends it in, Collodi with a punch, and an awkward one. Farrington's clearance hits Musa, but he gets a second chance at it to send it down the field. Musa at full tilt, able to win it back, juggling it to himself. Ramiro out to Valiente. Should have gone out to the other side, but we'll see. Valiente able to keep it in play. First time ball swung in, looking for Musa, but too much air underneath it, and Bond comes out to claim.
Mentioned a while ago how Collodi always seems to get a lot on those one-handed punches. That time I thought he had enough room to catch.
Guilherme, 1 goal, 2 assists in the first half for him. He's got it here. Now setting up on the left. Gets it from McGlynn. Pops it into Herrera. How many minutes does Hector Herrera have to give Houston tonight? He's playing now his highest minute total of the season. He hadn't played more than a half coming into tonight.
And it is warm tonight, 85 at kickoff.
Anali able to win a corner kick off of Johansson. And man, Anali just on sheer speed alone is a real problem at the wingback position for the Dynamo.
I mean, Johansson's been given quite an introduction to Major League Soccer, having to deal with Richie Larea, who I think has probably been Toronto's best player so far. And tonight having to deal with the speed of Anali.
Jack McGlynn looking for an outswinger from the near side. 2 arms raised for the former Union homegrown. Whipped into the danger area. Musa heads it clear. Bogusz from the top of the box. Then Norris volleys down the field. Valiente leaning on Bogusz. Won the header, but it's the Dynamo who maintain possession. Guilherme with Kamungo's swapped to the right side. Everybody's a little bit out of position right now for Dallas after the set piece. Dwayne Holmes on it on the far side. Shaq Moore at left wing back for the moment. These are the moments where communication is absolutely vital. Hector Herrera able to unbalance defenders in possession, trying to do so here. Houston forced back. Carlos put under pressure by Musa. McGlynn dropping between the center backs, offering an option. And eventually Houston just sending it down the field and out for a Dallas throw.
Again, Houston just hasn't been able to create that much on their own.
Shaq Moore from right center back will dribble it up. Over to Urquide. Norris going direct, looking for Musa. It's a good ball, awkward one to deal with. Carlos wins the first header. Second ball breaks for Valiente. Wide on the right. Nodded back for Herman Johansson. Guilherme on his case. Herman Johansson still on it. Back to Valiente. Valiente in the right half space. Touched back for Urquide. Farrington looking for the first time ball. Valiente had gone on a run in behind. Dallas wins it back. Valiente, Kaike over to Farrington, skips past McGlynn. Farrington still on it on the left foot. Shot deflected up into the air, making it comfortable for Bond. The ideas are there, but the execution just a little bit off. Farrington trying to grab it by the scruff of the neck there and brute force it.
I think Peter Musa was looking for somebody to combine with him there, and nobody could find him.
It's got to be interesting just from a mentality standpoint for Farrington. He starts the game as the lone striker. He's got to be the guy. He scored 2 goals. You feel like you're the guy. And here comes Musa, who's been the guy on this team for now 3 seasons. Onto the field, you got to immediately rekindle that partnership and look for him in those moments as well. Norris, some time on the ball, out to Kamungo on the far side. Kamungo going to use his speed to get past Holmes, get to the end line, and take a touch along the way. No, it's out for a throw on the near side. It went all the way through.
Yeah, Kamungo was just going a little too fast there, and he just vastly overcooked his cross.
I think you're going to hear some boos here as the Dynamo are taking their time, come across and take the throw. Referee needs to be on top of it as long as the Dynamo are leading on the road. And as Steve likes to say, they have earned the right to take their time on these restarts, but it's also up to the referee to manage that.
There is a limit.
Throwing down the line, Irrigate wins the header. Shaq Moore sends it down the field. Carlos's header, put back the other way by Ramiro. First time ball from Farrington up to Musa. Musa trying to juggle it up to himself. Carlos wins the header. Shaq Moore up into the night sky. Johansson trying to use his height in this battle and comes away with it. Chips it down the line for Musa. May have left early, but flag stays down for now. Petter Musa to the byline. Cutback ball. It's an own goal for Houston. The flag goes up and they'll check it.
Well, they can check it. I think Musa knew he was offside when as he turns around and at a full gallop, turns around and looks at the referee's assistant behind him. Well, we'll see.
Maybe somebody dropping off the line on the other side of the field. Either way, the immediate impact of Musa, the ball's in the net 8 minutes after he's into the game.
I mean, there is one defender back there. It's Fiachenko that's a little behind the play, but I don't have a good angle on that.
His pass was looking for Farrington. 2 Houston players there with all their momentum going back towards their own goal. Couldn't keep it out.
Going to watch a replay here that will give us.
Oh, he's onside.
Oh, that's absolutely onside.
He's onside, and Dallas are going to be level here after the check.
Fiachenko is way back behind his line, and the cut of the grass is going to show that. I think I agree. He was onside. I think it was a little closer than you seem to think, but it looked onside to me too.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're going to check it. This goal is going to stand, and the game is going to begin anew here at 3-3.
This is one I kind of don't understand, Ryan.
Why he needs to check it.
Why do you have to check? I mean,
no other league in the world does the check for offside decisions.
Yeah.
They'll just allow the VAR to make the decision.
I mean, look, if there's a choice to be made, a decision to be made as to whether somebody is actively interfering with the play or something like that, yeah, you would involve the referee. But this is it's pretty clear looking at the cut of the grass, and the referee's not going to see anything different than they see in the VAR booth back in Arlington. And he's a half step onside.
It's Johansson who puts him in behind with a nice weight on the pass, and here's the decision.
After review, Dallas number 9 is in an onside position. Final decision is called.
Well, it won't go down on the score sheet for Petter Musa, but he made it happen. The instant impact off the bench. The game begins anew at 3-3.
Well, strange game, just got a little stranger, but it got a little stranger in favor of the home team. That is a nice little chipped-in ball, by the way, by Herman Johansson. And the reason Petter Musa turns around, almost has to do a full 180 to look at the referee's assistant, is because he is clearly 2 steps behind the defender on his side, but Fiachenko just wasn't holding a very tight line and kept him onside.
Well, the momentum is back in the sails on the Dallas side. The flags are waving in the Rhine, and they've got over a half an hour to go and win the Derby.
But here's the moment right here, Ryan. There are moments in the game when you've got to understand to raise the intensity. And this is it. This is it. You don't just keep the intensity. You actually raise it right now. And Kaike just got a silly yellow card for standing in front of the ball.
Well, that's not one you like when the intensity's raising. 55 into the book on the Dallas side, and it's going to be a free kick for Houston.
It's really not. The yellow card there, you see this all the time. You know, a player will sort of kick the ball into the other player just to get the yellow card, and usually, you know, the referee is a little sensible about it. I don't think he was really trying to delay the play there as much as he was just standing there for a second, as we see all the time.
Well, the fans were serenading Musa as he warmed up in the first half. They're singing his name now as he's come in to level this game early in the second. Here's McGlynn looking to restore the Houston advantage. Whipped in from the far side. Good pace on this ball towards the back post, and Shaq Moore got a telling touch. It's behind for a corner. Well, we've officially equaled the record for goals in a game between Houston and Dallas. If anyone wins it tonight, it'll be the highest scoring Texas Derby in the history of this rivalry, going back 57 games.
It's a little surprising, isn't it?
The highest scoring coming in tonight, a 5-1 win for Dallas. Looked like we were headed that direction 20 minutes in, but it's gone in a completely different one. Here's McGlynn, whipped in from the near post, or towards the near post, headed away by Farrington.
Well, if the defenses on both sides don't get it together, we'll have more goals.
Bogusz isolated near the corner flag on the near side and wins the throw. He hasn't had much of a say tonight, the Polish designated player for Houston. He had his moment last week against Portland. This is whipped in by Dwayne Holmes, headed away by Norris. Up into the air, Farrington and Guilherme fighting for it. Breaks for Guilherme, but Kamungo is well positioned. Here's Anali up against Shaq Moore. Kamungo can send it clear. Bogusz in the center circle now, trying to drop deep and dictate play. Herrera splitting the center backs. Lifts it out to the far side. Sviatchenko takes it down on the chest. Past Norris, Kaike covering. Out to McGlynn. And now Herrera. Guilherme with Shackmore chasing him all the way back. Andrade looking for a way past Farrington, finds Guilherme. Anali with Ramiro biting at his heels, finds Herrera, keeps it moving for McGlynn. Sustained possession here for Houston. Bogusz out to Holmes in the wide area. Up against Norris, checks back, finds Bogusz again. McGlynn's found a pocket along the right side, fires it in off the right foot. Shackmore sliding intervention, puts it out for a throw on the opposite end. As he's done a few times already tonight, Dwayne Holmes finding a well-positioned Advocare towel laying around Toyota Stadium to dry off this ball and try and get as much distance as he can on it. Here is the throw, launched in, headed up into the air, not clear, fight for the second ball, bouncing, and then Norris able to clear it. Got cleared out, surely enough for a foul, but we play on. Bogusz wins a header, then Johansson sends it down the field. Kaike will give chase. It's allowed to bounce by Andrade. And now he goes back to Jonathan Bond. Well, Bond's dangerously close to Farrington blocking that clearance, and then a little nudge in the back from Kamungo was enough to bring the whistle. Very inconsistent whistle tonight for Rosendo Mendoza. Not to say that wasn't a foul in the vacuum, but we just saw Norris get absolutely clotheslined to the other end. Herrera back to Bond. Musa leading the press. Heavy touch from Bond, and you can hear the oohs and ahs from the Dallas fans. But he did enough to lift it out to Andrade. Guilherme pursued by Shaq Moore, and Moore trips him up as Guilherme was just about to give the ball away, I think. Seems like a clear instruction coming out of the halftime break for Shaq Moore to follow Guilherme more aggressively after his influence in the first half of the goal and 2 assists.
You know, Ryan, I think Houston leaving 4 players up high instead of bringing them back to try to help in the build, I think that's sort of scuttled FC Dallas's press because they're a little afraid to add that that fourth or fifth player to the press. So it's been pretty ineffective tonight.
Guilherme now popping up on the wide on the right, maybe trying to get away from Shackmore. Good work from Norris there. And Kamungo as well. Kaike tripped up. We play on. No, we go back for it this time. For anyone keeping score at home, it's a Dwayne Holmes own goal officially to make this one 3-3, forced by Musa. This time Kaike is the one to try and lift it towards the Moose, but way too much air underneath that one. And exasperated expression from Eric Quill.
But I said this in the first half. If you're going to play over the top, two players have to make a decision. The guy on the ball, but also somebody has to be making a run. Dallas needs a few more guys just willing to make that run and understand they might not get it and just recycle and make the run again.
Houston inviting the Dallas pressure and eventually giving it away. Valiente just about finds Musa. Musa turning away from Bogusz. And gives it away. Valiente now at full sprint to try and keep up with the pole. Anali, he's the sprinter out there tonight. Looking for it in behind, but it's going to run all the way through to Collodi.
I think another issue for FC Dallas is, after Logan Farrington in the first 15 minutes and Shaq Moore, I think nobody else has really looked sharp for FC Dallas. Kaike's been very active, so has Valiente, but neither of them are sharp, and Urguide just gave the ball away.
Another giveaway there. Now Guilherme wide for Dwayne Holmes. Cut back ball to Guilherme again, who'd given Ramiro the slip, and he should have really restored the lead there, but he's ballooned that one over the bar.
Yeah, all of that coming on that Urguide giveaway at about 35 yards.
Saw a nice moment, a handshake and a hug between Guilherme and Ramiro, who spent a lot of time together at Gremio. It was Guilherme trying to get wrong side of his former teammate there.
Eric Quill has said before that Osaze Urguide is a Premier League level defender in terms of what he does on defense. It's his passing that keeps him from being at that level.
There's Musa putting pressure on Carlos high up the field, making it at least a little bit nervy for the Houston center back. Eventually Bond, under pressure from Farrington, sends it clear. But Shaq Moore wrestles it away from Bogusz. Shaq Moore with a head of steam. Now Bogusz, cynical shove from behind. Sets up a dangerous opportunity for the free kick for Dallas. Surely a yellow card.
It hasn't just been the whistle that's inconsistent tonight from Mendoza, but there's no effort on the ball there. He just shoves it from behind, and okay, if you're going to give Kaike a yellow card for standing in front of the ball, it's okay, but it's been very in and out tonight for Mendoza.
That felt like one of the most obvious yellow cards you'll see all season. He got beat for the ball. He's frustrated. He's defending from the wrong side. Gave him a shove.
And he stops a promising attack too.
It checked all the boxes. There's a mystery box in Rosendo Mendoza's head.
Valiente's dead ball delivery has been up and down tonight.
Here's another chance whipped in right on top of the 6-yard box. Not a bad service there, just didn't find a runner. And Bond picked it up.
It was a pretty good service. That's when you just want to see it hit with a little more pace, and it might just slip by the goalkeeper because he has to wait to see if that ball is going to get headed, intercepted, somebody's going to get a foot on it.
Andrade out to Bogusz, continues his run. Bogusz looking for options, back for Herrera. A couple players up and ready for Houston. We'll get to those in a second. Bogusz switching the play out to Sviatchenko. Holmes down for McGlynn. McGlynn on the outside looking in of the U.S. World Cup squad at the moment. Here's a ball over the top from the former Union man, defended by Johansson. Valiente out to Kamungo. Out wide towards the halfway line where Farrington waits. Farrington, diagonal ball looking for Musa. Musa brings it down on the chest, goes down. Andrade was in the area, made contact, but not enough for a foul. Whatever that means tonight. There's a giveaway in midfield. Ramiro has lost his shoe as he tried to pass forward. And Guilherme's called his own foul there, just stopped playing. And now here come the two changes. So it'll be Ponce replaced by Linger. And the Houston striker, outside of a bit of petulance, not much really to do in this game. He's kept pretty quiet. Linger will try and make an impact in his place, and Holmes will be replaced at right wing back by the recent returnee, Aliou Ibrahim. They sent him away to Columbus 18 months ago, and now he's back. Playing in a little bit deeper spot now as a wing back, as he was thought of as a winger or forward previously. Free kick for Houston on their side of halfway. Taken short, Herrera and McGlynn. Guilherme chipped into the path of Linger, finds Bogusz. Bogusz on the turn. Out to Aliou, first chance for him to get involved. Finds Bogusz again, out in front of McGlynn. Stepping in front is Norris, and now Farrington. Farrington going alone. And he's got a yellow card out of the situation against Fiatchenko, and it's a second yellow card. He knocked it past the center back. Ran into him, to be honest. Draws the foul, draws the whistle, draws the yellow card, and Dallas will play up a man. Houston sees red for the 4th time in the young season.
No, I thought Ben Olsen was going to walk onto the locker room. He just started walking out of the coach's box, and you know we've seen a lot of yellow cards in this, red cards in the series. Ben Olsen has seen a bunch of red cards for his team this year, but it's the right call. You know, Logan Farrington pushes the ball by. Fiatchenko makes zero effort, and it's needless too, by the way, for Fiatchenko, because he's got Antonio Carlos in a covering position behind him, so he doesn't really need to do that.
Yeah, in live time, I thought really Farrington might have made the contact himself, but actually Fiatchenko did cut off the run pretty clearly. And so the second time Dallas will play up a man this season. They had just about 10 minutes or so against Nashville, in which they were unable to turn a draw into a win. Much longer and really more on the line this week against Houston with the same situation.
Oh, you know, last week Houston was tied, and they actually got the...
Oh, here's Farrington. Nice feed from Musa. Farrington back towards Musa. Maybe one pass too many, or maybe just left it behind the Moose, but Dallas will have a corner.
No, I think the pass was correct. He just didn't put it with the right weight or the right angle. Last week Houston got the game winner, a man down late. So they can still do damage.
It's Valiente from the far side in the 70th minute. Outswinging service towards the top of the box, headed towards Kaike. Top of the box volley is brought down and now put out into space. It's Guilherme trying to get onto it. Houston trying to lead a counterattack. Guilherme slowed up. Finds Herrera in the middle of the field. Spots the run of Bogusz. Diagonal ball out towards him. Kamungo well positioned. And they'll nod it back to Collodi. Hasn't had really anything to do in the second half. And may have even less now. Dallas playing up a man. Johansson, great ball into the feet of Valiente, but Valiente got it caught under his feet. And with the turnover, now there's space for Anali, where Johansson had vacated. Kaike, great work there to win it back. I got nothing. Brought back for a foul.
You know, as far as what else Dallas can do now, substitution-wise, Lucius Dietzen on the bench, but he hasn't really been an impact player this year. Sam Sarver has been an impact player at various times.
I think we'll see Sam Sarver in this game. You saw he showed up in a cowboy hat.
Patrickson Delgado also available off the bench.
Looks like Houston's readying another center back. And they just recently signed from their second team, Augustine Resch. 6'5" Argentinian going through his paces right now. It's a free kick opportunity for Houston. Guilherme bending ball in is a dangerous one, and the contact took it towards the near side instead of towards goal. It's off of Dallas' head. It's a Houston throw.
You know, if Dallas can't find a goal here, they're looking at one win in their first 4 home games, and you know, building on last year's suboptimal home performance. I mean, this is one they just have to get, Ryan. Going to play 20 minutes a man up here.
Now maybe a double sub or maybe a change of the substitution for Houston as Ron Benjamin makes his way across on the Dallas side, as well as Patrickson Delgado. Those two made a decent impact in salvaging the draw against San Diego late last week. Guilherme doesn't find a way past Valiente. He lifts it down the line. Farrington volleys it ahead towards Musa. Carlos back the other way. Ramiro through the back there of Guilherme. Sorry, of Bogusz, or sorry, of Linger. Recently on the field.
Uragide was playing with the ball a little bit after the foul, and it wasn't really going anywhere with it. And eventually he kicked it back to Houston. But he's got to be careful there. He's carrying a yellow card. They've already seen a yellow card shown to a Dallas player for delaying the restart. Mendoza's sort of been weird.
Oh, they go short and down the line. Guilherme's cross deflected. Colodi makes the catch.
He's been weird with his choices, so if you're a Dallas player, you've got to be very careful if you're carrying a yellow card.
18 plus stoppage time to play. 3-3 your score. Dallas got out to a hot start, a 2-goal lead, threw it away all within the first 45 minutes. But a goal and a red card to Houston means they have the momentum late in this game. Ramiro lifting it out to Shaq Moore on the near side. Moore with an assist on the opening goal, finds Johansson, who had an assist on the second. Down the line, back to Moore, cut back ball, looking for Valiente, cleared out for a Dallas throw.
Nice little combination there. Shaq Moore and Johansson found a little something on the sideline.
So here come the changes. Lawrence Anali will be replaced by Augustine Resch. That is a speedster on the outside for a very large center back. Played a part in these red card situations in the opening few weeks for Houston. Don't think they wanted to use him as much as they've had to. And we'll see who is going to be replaced on the Dallas side. Well, the subboard is just broken. It's not a good sign. Norris replaced first by Delgado. Kayike replaced by Benjamin. Maybe a change in shape with the defender Norris coming off for a midfielder in Delgado. Benjamin for Kayike, more like for like. Kayike carrying that yellow card.
Everybody on Dallas and Eric Quill holding up fingers and toes, trying to figure out what formation they're playing.
They go short from the throw. Ramiro settles it back to Shaq Moore. Bending ball into the danger area. A good one brings from Musa off his face. Couldn't react in time. Top of the box, Benjamin, first time shot, blocked by Carlos, out to the far side. Kamungo, first time ball in towards Logan Farrington, going for the volley. And it's off target as he made some amount of contact, but nothing telling. And now we'll get a look at what the shape looks like for Dallas.
I think he sort of lost his bearings there, because I think if he gets a little more aggressive and just hammers that ball toward goal, he's got a chance of squirting in, because he's so close as that ball sort of drops over his shoulder.
Maybe it's not much of a change of shape. Maybe it's just Patrickson playing as the left wing back. Could be 4-4-2.
No, I think you're right. It looks like maybe Johansson, Shaq, Uragide, and Bernie now are the back four.
Headed out of play by Houston. 75th minute. Johansson takes the throw into Uragide. Benjamin first touch. Besides that early effort, gets it wide for Kamungo. Kamungo cut back towards Benjamin. Patrickson returns it to him. Here's a dart in behind for Benjamin. Cut back ball looking for Logan Farrington's cutout. And allowed to bounce out for a Dallas throw near the corner flag.
I like the aggressiveness there shown by Benjamin. Some urgency, some intent.
Here's Valiente looking to pull the strings. Back to Ramiro. Wide for Kamungo. Closed down by Aliu. Gets him off balance, creates some space. Early ball swung in. Farrington volley on target with not much power at all. Comfortable for Jonathan Bond.
Farrington looking maybe a little tired to you?
Yeah, but you've got to leave him on, I think. Going for the win. Without Anderson Julio, who's been out now for a few weeks.
Yeah.
Whistle in the middle of the field for a nudge into Hector Herrera. Tried to play it quickly, but the ball was still moving. I think he might have known the ball was still moving. He's played a few games.
Yeah, it's pretty clever because you're right. If the referee lets it go, you've got an early, got a quick free kick. If not, well, it's what you wanted anyway. A little bit more delay.
Houston and Dallas both taking the game at their rival stadium last year. Looked like Dallas was going to run away with this one. Then it looked like Houston was going to flip the script. The most common result in this series all time has been either a Dallas win or a draw, which is where we're headed right now if nobody finds a winning goal. Ramiro through midfield, Benjamin out to Kamungo. Dallas looking to find the space vacated by that red card for Sviatchenko. Here's Ramiro, just had to keep it alive there, out towards Patrickson again. Benjamin clatters into Herrera, and that'll be brought back for a foul. Just sloppy play with the ball there, and that's what they really can't afford. They need to find a way to build up the rhythm if Houston's going to sit deep.
And honestly, they just haven't been crisp with the ball all night.
Benjamin stepping into the passing lane there, away from Bogusz, but Houston back on it. Out wide for Guilherme, the main man early in the season for his new club. Good work there from Uriguide to win it back. Ramiro over to Valiente. Will he have his first moment wearing the hooped uniform tonight? There's a ball over the top for Farrington along the left side. Farrington cuts it back. I think really all he could hope for was a corner kick, but that's what he's got.
I think the balls over the top have been effective tonight. Dallas just hasn't gone to it enough.
And now they've got Patrickson on the field. I think that ups the set piece quality a little bit.
Yeah, but you got to finish him. Uriguide had that brilliant chance a while ago and just missed it high off the corner kick.
It'll be an in-swinger from the Ecuadorian. Dallas number 8 whips this one in towards the back post. Johansson trying to keep it alive. It hits a Houston head. It's out for another corner, this time from the near side. And Valiente comes across. Looks like they're favoring the in-swinger. Houston scored a corner kick on this side as a part of their 3-goal flurry in the first 45. Valiente right arm raised. Whipped in again towards the back post. Bodies go up. And that's Aliou who sends it clear. Shaq Moore retrieves it in the center circle. Out to Benjamin. Allowed to take 10 yards or so on the dribble. And Patrickson, first time ball off the left foot, is an awkward one for Bond to deal with, but he makes the catch.
Dallas' crossing from that side hasn't been terrific.
Really, Guilherme looking to be the one-man counter attack. He's got support from Linger on the near side, but he was way off with a diagonal, and it goes straight out for a Dallas throw. Now 10 minutes of regulation plus whatever's added on. We've had a goal, we've had a VAR check, we've had a red card. There will be some significant stoppage time, you'd think. Here's a giveaway from Benjamin in the middle. Herrera immediately finds Guilherme. 1v1 here with Uriguide. Benjamin in retreat. Guilherme still on it. Options either side now. Finds Bogusz. Bogusz loses out there to Benjamin, who makes up for his error. And Dallas comes away with it. Patrickson on the dribble through the middle. Finds Benjamin now in the right center channel. Out to Johansson.
Just not a lot of structure right now to Dallas's attack with the ball.
Valiente lining up a shot from distance, deflected up in the air, fight for the second ball. It's Houston who get a touch. McGlynn out to Bogusz. Guilherme buys another cheap foul. Trying to go for the 1-2, and Shaq Moore's called for obstructing his run.
So, Ryan, that's the 28th foul in this game, to tell you a little bit about the nature of it. 28 fouls, there's been 18 shots. 11 for Dallas, 7 for Houston.
And another night, that number could be a lot lower. It's had a little bit of everything, and that may be an understatement tonight. So far, it's equaled the highest scoring Texas Derby matchup with 6 goals. Still in search of a winner. McGlynn over the top. Johansson just barreled over by Linger.
29 fouls.
Colodi quickly retrieves it, and Dallas get the ball back moving. It's Uriguide leading the charge from the back. Out to Kamungo. Patrickson makes the run in behind, receives it along the left side. Resch out to close him down. Patrickson, though, returns it to Kamungo. Ball fizzed across, looking for the deflection after the save from Bond. Cleared away by the Dynamo.
Good for Kamungo there.
Musa off the right side. Musa lining up the shot on the left foot through traffic. Forced the diving stop from Jonathan Bond, but not his hardest save of the night. Bond with the side-winding punt. Uragide keeping it away from Guilherme. Ben Olsen calling over another substitute. As the ball's lifted towards Musa, Aliou wins the header. Benjamin bravely in to win the second ball. Bogusz stabs it away from him. Finds Guilherme. Guilherme with nowhere to go, but finds his way past two Dallas players. And he's the one-man counterattack once again. He's got Ramiro here isolated in the wide area as there's really nobody making their way forward to support him. And eventually he just hits it off of Kamungo and it breaks for Ramiro.
It was the only thing he could do there.
Houston, if they can get out of this with a draw, they'll be happy. Headed home tonight. Patrickson out to Johansson. Finds Valiente. He leaves it for Benjamin. Two additions to the Dallas midfield in the offseason. It's over to Kamungo, wide with Musa. Musa back to Ramiro, centrally, 30 yards from goal. Diagonal switch out to Patrickson. Benjamin, a little loose with that one, but it's still going to find its way to Kamungo. Kamungo, who helped Dallas salvage the point with that miraculous run late in the game against San Diego. He conjure up some of that same magic tonight. Ramiro lifts it into the box. Again, an awkward one to deal with, but Andrade got it back to Jonathan Bond.
Benjamin was good for his first few minutes, and the last three times on the ball, he's been a little sloppy.
Here he is again, a lot of time in the middle of the field. Over to Patrickson, and wide for Johansson. Patrickson allowed to whip this one in towards the back post. It's Valiente, missed his kick. As he just ghosted in unmarked at the back post and totally whiffed the effort. Second chance, Kamungo whipped in over the head of Johansson, breaks for Patrickson. They'll keep it in play and send another ball in, this time under hit it. And Linger was able to be
I feel like all Valiente had to do was steady himself and put his foot through the ball. He tried to sort of do a jumping, almost half sidewinder thing.
Kamungo, another ball in towards Musa, stabbed goalwards, blocked. And the field is absolutely tilted towards Jonathan Bond's goal right now. Houston without a release valve, no way out. But Dallas struggling really to create too many clear-cut chances. Ramiro out to Valiente, finds Musa. Musa from 25 yards out, trying to find a teammate. It's kept alive for the moment.
The problem is Dallas really doesn't have any ideas other than cross and hope.
Musa dropping in, can't find a teammate either. The good thing is Houston has absolutely no ideas going forward at the moment.
No,
There's
they don't.
no threat of a counter. Wide with Kamungo. Further wide for Farrington. From the corner of the box, Valiente bending it in towards Petter Musa at the back post! It's a Texas Derby hero is Petter Musa tonight!
Well, look, Petter Musa was being held, mugged, grabbed. I mean, it was criminal back there. But he's a big guy, and he still manages to muscle past the defender. I said all he had was, cross and hope, and that time, well, you got Petter Musa in front of the goal. It's a pretty good hope. Because it's Valiente that supplies the cross, and I'm telling you, he was getting held back there. He still got in front of the defender, put it home from close range.
The best number 9 in Major League Soccer in the big time. Only had 45 minutes to make an impact tonight. Forced the own goal and has the goal that puts Dallas in front here late on. He just can't stop scoring.
There's a nice ball from Valiente off his left foot, kind of the corner of the penalty area, a little bit further out. And it's Musa that he just wills himself in front of the defender there.
A couple of changes for Houston. I absolutely missed those in the aftermath of the goal. We'll get those for you in a second. Dallas is readying a change of their own.
It was Linger who was defending, and he's a forward. And he was defending like a forward there.
I mean, Steve, do you like roller coasters? That's what we've had tonight. Now the highest scoring Texas Derby match of all time. From 2 goals in front to 3-2 down to 4-3 up here in the 87th minute.
Here's the thing, though. It's not over the finish line yet.
Colodi with the ball at his feet. They're readying Sebastian Ibeagha, try and batten down the hatches late in this game.
Yeah, that's a good change. Nolan Norris was out of the game because they needed attackers, but I think he'd done really well, and you'd love to see him back in the game. Of course, that's not going to happen.
Dallas just breaking the pressure from Houston, who looked dejected, haven't fought all the way back. It's wide with Patrickson on the far side. Dallas with eyes on a 5th goal.
Yeah, but you got to be smart here. Keep the ball and look for opportunities. Don't force them.
Valiente 2 assists now on the night. His first 2 in a Dallas jersey.
And you should be able to keep the ball. You're at home. You got a man advantage.
Dallas just knocking it from left to right across the back line. Now they'll go from right to left. And now we wanted the stoppage time number to be towards double digits, but we'll take 4 or 5 maybe. We're about to find out how much time will be added on. Musa lifts it out towards Valiente. Aliu's there first. And he knocks it off of the Uruguayan, who I would suspect is about to be replaced. No, it'll be Farrington instead. Farrington off for Sebastian Ibeagha, who makes his 100th regular season appearance for FC Dallas tonight. And he's got an important mission. He's got to see this one out against the team where he started his career, the Houston native.
Going to see how FC Dallas lines up. I assume it's going to be 5 now. So it'll be Shaq on the right, Ibeagha on the left, and Asase still in the middle. Herman Johansson is the right wing back or the right outside back, and Bernie Kumungo on the left.
Into the game, it was Augustine Bozat for Houston.
It's going to be Benjamin and Ramiro that'll be screening in front of that back 5.
Colodi picks it up. We've got 30 seconds to the 90 plus whatever there's going to be added on. And what has been an instant classic tonight. For some of the right reasons, for some of the wrong reasons.
Yeah, the quality hasn't been fantastic, but it's, there's plenty of things to talk about.
Round of applause for Farrington as he makes his way around the pitch tonight. 2 goals in the first half.
I mean, it seems like last week that he scored those 2 goals. So much has happened.
It's going to be 6 added on as Colodi picks up the ball.
Look, this is an important 6 minutes for Dallas. You know, you've got a lead at home. You're looking for only your 2nd win out of your first 4 home games. It's critical that you find a way to manage this one out.
Ramiro loses the battle in midfield to Linger. Down the line for Bogusz, who scored in the 105th minute for Houston last week, playing down a man. Dallas between Uriguide and Kumungo, able to see this one over the line for a goal kick.
Yeah, it was Kumungo at first sort of trying to usher that one over the line. Then Big Brother.
He brought in the reinforcements.
Big Brother stepped in there and said, here, Bernie, I got this one. And he just he made sure that nobody got to that ball before it crawled over the line for the goal kick.
Well, there were heroes and villains on both sides tonight. Is there any final twist in what has quickly become a legendary Texas Derby tale?
Yeah, let's hope this one has twisted itself out.
It's Andrade falling it back towards Colodi, and Colodi's going to wait to pick it up until he's under pressure from Guilherme, who's making the long run forward. Guilherme's heroics in the first half may well be lost to that history. As the flags are waving in the Rhine, the momentum and the energy back in the stadium from what was such a dejected moment heading into the halftime break. Linger chased back, fires it off of Musa out for a Houston throw.
Peter Musa started as the league leading scorer. He's got 6 now. Sam Surridge has 7, so Musa looks like he'll finish the night second.
Well, his impact easily worth 2 goals tonight. He did force the own goal as well, as there's a coming together off the ball. Uragide is called for it.
Uragide is arguing, and he's got a yellow card. He needs to just understand he's not going to win the argument.
And needs to leave the ball alone as well.
Oh, Uragide, somebody's got to talk some sense into him here. He's about to get himself thrown out.
Well, really, he needs to get back in position.
It was finally Shaq Moore that went in there and pulled him out of there. And yes, you're right.
And it's not a foul after all. And everybody had gone forward for Houston. Everybody was back for Dallas to defend the set piece.
Very confusing.
And another curious piece of refereeing. It ends up being a Houston throw, which McGlynn takes. And he's closed down by Valiente.
So what was the argument all about then?
Your guess is as good as mine. A lot of head scratchers tonight.
Yeah.
Not just from the referee.
Shaq Moore with a header. He's been good tonight.
Up towards Musa. Patrickson, chance to spring Musa in behind. Here's Peter Musa, full tilt along the right side. Looking to kill this one off from the near side. No real angle to shoot. Goes down. Not enough contact there, though he's furious.
I think that's exactly what he was looking for there. He knew he'd run himself into a bad angle, try to cut it back, draw the contact, which he did, but he's a big fellow. I think he could have.
Either way, he got the corner kick.
He could have been the brick wall there and done the damage. And yeah, you're right. That's very valuable right now.
Valiente and Patrickson will just go short here and keep it near the corner flag. And move it back towards Shaq Moore. Moore into Ron Benjamin, finds Patrickson now, top of the box, into the 18, off the left foot, deflected, and wide for another corner. And the party atmosphere is resumed as we've got 2 minutes to play before the final whistle sounds. And you've hardly seen the Ryan at full voice like this recently. They go short again. Patrickson back to Shaq Moore. Keep it moving across the back line. Nobody had gone forward for this corner. They've got 90 seconds to negotiate. Benjamin just baiting the pressure, then putting it out wide for Kamungo. Swings the ball in towards the back post. Does it stay in play? No.
It's not really where you want a hopeful cross, Bernie Kamungo. Just pull that ball into the corner, pull it back, do anything but that.
McGlynn down the line looking for Linger. Evades everybody, and now the ball in behind for the speed of Aliu. Ibiaga defending. Aliu thought about cutting back, now sends it in, blocked by Ibiaga, out to Andrade. I'm sorry, that's Buzat, and he's closed down by Uragide, who concedes the corner. This may be the last chance for Houston.
Oh my heavens, all starts when Bernie Kamungo just hits a needless cross.
And they're back up to full strength because Jonathan Bond has joined the attackers in the penalty area. McGlynn will take it. Everybody crowded inside the 18-yard box. Outswinger towards the top of the 6, headed up into the air. Fight for the second ball, lashed through traffic, blocked out for a throw. 30 seconds remaining. Dallas needing to keep their medal here late in the game. Buzat's going to launch this one into the box. Final seconds ticking down. They go short. It's 2v1 in the wide area. Back towards Bogusz. Patrickson sliding in, and we've hit 96, and they take it quickly. Whipped in towards the near post. Free header. Linger. Collodi saves the win. He saves the derby.
For now.
For now.
There's
We
a
play
corner
on.
kick.
It's a corner coming. And Bond is forward again. They go short again. Bogusz from the near side. Chipped in towards the back post. Knotted out the other side. Waiting for the final whistle. Guilherme on his right foot. Bending ball over the bar. And that'll do it.
The first step towards returning El Capitan is an instant classic at Toyota Stadium tonight.
Well, Dallas wanted chaos. They got a handful of it right at the end, but they survive here. It's a huge win. Second win this year at Toyota Stadium out of 4 tries. They needed that one, Ryan.
They stay unbeaten at home in perhaps the most unlikely fashion, from 2 goals up to 3-2 down to a Moose off the bench to play hero. It's a 4-3 win against the Dynamo. We'll try and break it all down for you on the post-game show. It'll be difficult to get through everything, but Dallas comes out in the win column against the Dynamo tonight. You've been listening to FC Dallas Soccer, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
At Toyota, we don't just build trucks. We build something that's meant to last. That's why the 2026 Tundra is built to tough it out and to take it easy. Built to carry tradition and to make new ones. Built stronger, built louder, built here. The 2026 Toyota Tundra. Built in Texas, driven everywhere. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern. The future of medicine sparks here.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
After 90-plus roller coaster minutes at Toyota Stadium, it ends up FC Dallas 4, Houston Dynamo 3, as Dallas takes the lead in the Texas Derby, the Race for El Capitan, and the early lead in Copa Tejas. Hello, everybody. It is the FC Dallas postgame show brought to you tonight by your local Toyota dealer, Toyota. Let's go places. Also brought to you this evening by UMB Bank. See how UMB can help you achieve your business goals. I'm your host, Sam Hale. I'll be joined by the voices of tonight's victory, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis, in just a bit. But first, let's get to your postgame highlights. They started out strong for FC Dallas in the 6th minute when the big dogs started to bark.
Now maybe a chance for Dallas to build something up with Shaq Moore.
Aggressively high line from Houston.
Shaq Moore going direct over the top, looking for Farrington. It's a great ball brought down by Farrington with the left. Farrington into the back of the net. Oh, that was a dime from beyond half field. And Logan Farrington shoulders the goal-scoring load in the absence of Musa tonight.
Farrington's second goal of the season, first of the game, made it 1-0 Dallas in the 6th minute. And then 8 minutes later, he decided if 1 is good, why not 2?
Settled down by Kamungo, fired across to Valiente in the right half space. Johansson goes on the overlap. Here's Herman Johansson in behind along the right side. Cutback ball looking for Farrington! Oh, it's a dream start in the Texas Derby tonight as Farrington strikes twice. Set up by the big Swede, Herman Johansson.
Farrington's brace made it 2-0 Dallas in the 14th minute. And all seemed like it was going well until the 29th minute came, when Houston struck first Guilherme in the 29th minute, then Eric Sviatchenko 2 minutes later in the 31st, and then Lawrence and Alley in the 33rd minute. Back-to-back unanswered goals made it 3-2 Houston. That was the score at the halftime break. Right after halftime, Pedro Musa came on in place of Christian Kappas in the 45th minute to start the second half. And then action kind of settled down until the 68th minute when Eric Sviatchenko picks up his second yellow card. That meant Houston was going to play a man down for the rest of the match, which wouldn't have been a problem except 14 minutes earlier, Dwayne Holmes had an own goal, thanks in part to Pedro Musa, who swung it in. That had made it 3-3. Sviatchenko's red card in the 68th meant Dallas would be up a man for the 20-plus remainder. But then it was the 86th minute when who else but the Moose would deliver the winner.
Wide with Kamungo. Further wide for Farrington. For the corner of the box, Valiente bending it in towards Petter Musa at the back post! The Texas Derby hero is Petter Musa tonight!
Musa, sixth of the season, his first of the game this evening, made it 4-3, which was your final tonight from Toyota Stadium. Let's go ahead and get you tonight's post-game stats. Those are brought to you by UMB Bank. Dallas wins the possession battle 52-48. 15 shots for Dallas, 7 of those on target. 9 shots for Houston, just 3 of those on target, although the problem being all 3 of those went in for Dallas. Dallas had 6 corners, Houston had 7. You had 4 saves tonight from Jonathan Bond, none from Michael Colodi. 16 fouls for Dallas, 13 for Houston. 2 yellow cards for the Burn, 3 for the Dynamo, and, of course, the 1 yellow card to Eric Sviatchenko. Let's bring in the voices of tonight's victory. It's Ryan Figert, it's Steve Davis. And, Ryan, we said in pregame you needed to win this one. You needed to win it, to beat your rival, to go into the international break feeling good. And it was topsy, it was turvy, it was up, it was down. But in the end, the result says FC Dallas wins and takes all 3 points.
Yeah, there's a lot of feelings coming out of this one, but the prevailing feeling is that, man, it feels good to restore order, beat Houston at home after dropping a really disappointing result to them here last year, to capitalize on what have been some good early season performances. I don't think this was really one of those, but they did enough to get the job done, and ultimately you have a decisive player that you're able to bring into the match in Petter Musa, and he did what he's paid to do, and that's win you games. He came in, forced the own goal, and he gets the winner at the end. Just too strong, too powerful, muscling off Linger and finding a way to put the ball in the back of the net as he so often does. I mean, there's nothing more that we can say about Petter Musa that we haven't already said, but tonight he's the hero. And after Logan Farrington gave Dallas a great start in the first half, it was his good buddy to come in and win the game.
Hey, Sam, how about this? Since this was kind of a scramble leg of games, let me start out with some scramble leg of thoughts.
Go for it.
Number one, I'm just going to kind of go in rapid order here.
By all means.
You can write these down. We can talk about them later. If you want to. I saw that Apple TV gave player of the game to Petter Musa. Okay, fair enough, but I think the hat down there was delivered to Logan Farrington, which I think is
that's absolutely the correct
because,
call.
I think Petter Musa's hat rack is full.
Yeah,
that's maybe the bigger problem.
Well, Apple gave it to him anyway, but I think it's Logan Farrington. On the stats, I think somebody fell asleep for the stat crew because they must have missed the Colodi save.
Yeah, this is the MLS stat pack, to be fair.
Right.
So
and they'll go back and correct it because that was a heck of a save right there at the end. Otherwise, Linger ends up tying that game, and Dallas goes away with only 1 point instead of all 3. Heck of a save there by Michael Colodi. And then, Eric Will talked about moral victories and how they're nice, but he said it himself. Moral victories, they lose their effect when you start counting up the standings, the points in the standings, right? You got to put victories with them, and we know that Dallas wasn't good at home last year. Now this year they picked up 5 of the first potential 9 points at home, which is a better rate than last year, but still not great. They needed this win in the worst way.
They really did, and there's just so much to dig into with this. Let's start with the man of the match. And no, I'm not talking about Apple's man of the match. We'll get to him. Don't you worry. But Ryan, we'd asked in pregame, somebody's got to score if Petter Musa's not in there. Coming into tonight, he had 5 of the team's 6 goals, and Logan Farrington in 15 minutes said, "No problem, guys. I got you taken care of." Just 2 fantastic strikers' qualities goals, and after 15 minutes, I think we all just felt totally copacetic about this thing, mainly because of Logan Farrington.
Yeah, it went in a different direction after that, but I think
we'll
after about 15 minutes, I thought we were going to win 10-0, and the way that Farrington was playing it, and this is actually a really, really heartwarming moment I'm going to talk you through right now because Petter Musa's young son is tallying the goals here. It's now 5-3 as young Musa has just put the ball in the back of the net with the
whole bloodline could score.
Supporters section cheering him on. It's a really cute moment and great to see that it's not just about the goals for Musa. We know he's a big family guy and he's getting to have a little bit of both tonight. But going back to Logan, what a performance from him, particularly in the first half. Absolutely shouldered the load. We didn't miss Musa in the first half, which is crazy to say. He was able to, not just score the goals. We can talk about the goals, but hold up the play well, connect the play well. He really looked like Musa out there in the first half. I mean, they play it a little bit differently. I think Logan likes a little bit more contact. He likes to hold the guy off a little bit more.
but the effect was the same. He was the focal point. Everything was around him. And I'm just loving this moment as, again, Musa's young son scores another goal. It's now 6-3. But, he just did everything that Musa does for this team in the first half, and then he was able to play off him, and it can't be easy. I said it on the broadcast. You come in, you know you're going to start the game. You know you have to be the main man. You scored 2 goals. You're feeling on top of the world. Well, and then you weren't, because now you have to help dig the team out of a deficit. But Musa's on, and now he's the main man. 7-3, by the way. Another goal from Musa. Musa's the main man, and you're looking for him, and you have to play off of him, and it's got to be a totally different mindset to sort of recalibrate and be like, hey, I have to support Musa, and he did it, extremely effectively in the second half. Played a little bit of a part in all of the goals. He was involved in the build-up for the winner. So he was able to play 2 completely different roles in this game and play it at a very high level. And Dallas doesn't walk out of this game with 3 points without an exquisite night from Logan Farrington.
By the way, Logan Farrington is a little bit of a chaos creator, as we know, but those goals were technical. The big ball out of the back from Shaq Moore. He's running at full speed. The ball sort of drops over his shoulder, and then. I said it was sort of Dennis Bergkamp-esque because it looks a little bit like the goal, the Bergkamp's famous goal he scores in the '98 World Cup against Argentina, where he pulls the ball down with his first touch, second touch creates space around the defender, third touch is in the back of the net. Bergkamp's goal was a lot closer in. This was actually a more difficult finish because he's moving to his right. He finishes back across his body over into the far post, on the left-sided post. And then the second goal was just as technical because it's a really nice moment from Valiente where he sort of holds the ball at the right spot, waits for the overlapping run from Herman Johansson, pushes the ball into the space. Johansson with his first touch moves it across, and it's a shot that it's easy to mess up because Logan Farrington's standing about 14 yards out. His body is oriented towards Johansson, so he's sort of faced it sideways. And it's really easy to take that ball and hit it sky high, but he puts just enough power on it, puts it right in the right place, swings his right foot, across his body, right into the inside the post. Those are 2 really technical, well-taken goals.
And to give him full credit here, because the offense was enough for him today. But looking at his numbers on defense, 7 clearances, 4 of those headed, 2 recoveries. He won 7 of 9 ground duels. He was 3 of 6 on aerials. Got fouled 5 times, only committed 1 foul. It was a very complete game from Logan tonight. And, we've always kind of talked to him as a chaos merchant and things like that. But I think we saw, if he continues to grow throughout the rest of the season and beyond, this is a game to put a pin in and really go, hey, this was one where he showed all the skills that you'd want from a number 1 type striker. And, of course, the other number 1 type striker.
The number 1 striker.
The number 1 striker. I think Ryan at one point called him the best 9 in MLS. And, man, it's hard to deny it. He comes on in the 45th minute because I think Eric Quill realized, hey, I know all about the bigger implications, but we need this one. And the tone changed. Business picked up as soon as he came in. He doesn't get the goal until the 86th minute, but he forces Dwayne Holmes' own goal in the 54th. I mean, Moose's impact, Steve, was just enormous, and in the end, he gets them the 3 points.
Yeah, so for anybody that was maybe checking out the postgame show on the way home and doesn't understand why Musa didn't start, he had a little bit of an injury, so it's kind of precautionary. He's got this big Croatia call-up coming up, and so he doesn't play.
He hardly trained all week.
He doesn't train a lot during the week. So he comes in at halftime. We were wondering, and at 2-0, by the way, it looked like
we don't need him.
Maybe they're going to win this game going away.
Take the day off, buddy.
Yeah, and but he does have to come in, and and you're right. He does make an impact. I think his presence makes an impact. And by the way, it's not Ryan Figert calling him the best number 9 in the league. There's a lot of people calling him that right now.
I think everyone in this booth might be calling him that right about now.
I'm saying nationally. Joe Lowry is a guy I respect a lot. He said coming into this year he was the best number 9 in the league, and it's not just because of what he can do in front of goal. It's because he can connect play. He can come back out, and then when his team needs it, he'll go back and defend. Eric Quill talked this week about his physical numbers and how they were off the charts, because his sprint numbers are high. The number of times he's sprinting to lead the press or sprinting to go back and recover and help on defense. So I think he's being recognized in a lot of corners as the best striker in the league.
Yeah, only 23 touches tonight for Musa, but 6 of those in the opposition box. And, of course, the big one where after the Valiente big crossing pass where he's able to put it in the net. And, that leads us to an interesting place because, Steve, you had mentioned at the halftime show Joaquin Valiente needed to kind of become that string puller if Dallas wanted to succeed today. And I'm not sure he achieved exactly what you're looking for. I don't want to put words in your mouth. But that last pass where he guided it to, basically just a laser missile to Musa, who's able to put it in, that was closer to what we're looking for. It seems like we're kind of edging towards what we want to see from Joaquin Valiente.
Yeah, I guess what I'd say about that, it was a very well-placed cross, as you said. And good for him, and he got 2 assists tonight, and that's what you want to see. But I do think we're seeing that he's not – I don't know that he's going to be an elite chance creator. You want a good pressing 10, a guy who can make a pass every now and then, but also is really a worker, and he's industrious. He looks like that guy.
Oh, yeah.
A guy who's really going to pull defenses out of shape, who's going to see an angle that a lot of other players don't see, who's going to beat somebody with his big explosive first touch and then make the telling pass. I haven't seen that yet. I haven't seen him generating ideas and sort of running the offense and moving defenders with his own movement, with his body shape, and then a reverse pass or a flick or something like that. I haven't seen that, and I don't know that he's that kind of guy. But if you give him space out there like Houston did, they're playing a man down, they're tired. Nobody got out and closed the cross, and he put a great cross in.
Yeah, I think we can talk about we want to see is repeatable patterns that lead to goals. And we saw, opening night against Toronto, Farrington from that same spot cuts back into his right foot, lifts it in towards Musa, header, goal. We saw it last year, same exact goal against Colorado. This is in the same vein for me, where Farrington and Kamungo cause a lot of gravity, push guys towards the end line, open up the space, and Valiente just bends the ball, and Musa knows where to be, and he knows how to score goals. Nobody knows how to put the ball in the back of the net like he does. And he just holds off his defender. He knows the ball is coming in. He knows the area it's going to come into. These are rehearsed actions that are leading to goals, and that's encouraging for a team that last year found their defensive identity, really never found their attacking identity, didn't find those consistent routes to goal outside of individual brilliance from players like Petar Musa. Now they're starting to show some more of those patterns, and again, the caveats of playing against 10 men, but these are things that they've been able to do against 11 men as well, and I think that's encouraging to see that Valiente found his way into those team concepts, picks up a primary assist and a secondary assist tonight. I don't know if they'll give the secondary assist to Logan on that goal as well. If so, he comes away with 2 goals and an assist. I mean, just to see those repeatable actions towards goal is encouraging, as this team needs to find that attacking identity to go with what we think can be a good defensive unit, even if they haven't shown that stinginess that we want to see so far in the young season.
Yeah, I want to get there, but I don't want to nuke the good vibes just yet, because I do think there are a couple of concerning things coming out of this one. I want to give Shaq Moore some credit here, because I think he had himself kind of an underrated game. You look at his stats; he played the entire game. He was a 92% passer.
He's now the only player outside of Colodi to play every minute, and he was just like this last season, Mr. Consistent.
It's incredible, the Iron Man he is. But he gets credit for an assist tonight on one of the Farrington goals. 46 out of 50 on his passes. He had the one chance created, 10 defensive contributions, 3 of 5 on long ball from a center back. He wins 5 of 8 of his ground duels, half of his aerials. And he's not exactly a big guy. He's a tenacious guy, but he's not a traditional tall center back. He only gets fouled once, but he gets 5 recoveries. He gets 2 headed clearances, along with 5 clearances, 4 tackles, a block. I mean, he really is. You just put the dude out there, and he's just a good soccer player, and I mean that really well. Like, he's not always excellent at any single one thing, but he can do a lot of things, and tonight he was crucial to the victory.
I mean, the ball he dropped over the top was up there with – I mean, that's
a highlight right there.
It's a highlight reel moment for him, and we were watching back some highlights from Texas Derbies gone past. Players like Minor Figueroa dropping balls like that in behind. Michel dropping balls like these guys that we think of that have this tremendous on-the-ball quality. Maybe they weren't great defenders. Maybe they were kind of put in there so they could get a spot in the team and show their attacking qualities. But Shaq Moore has shown us since the first moment he put on the Dallas kit, he can be an excellent one-on-one defender. He can be a wingback. He can get into the attack. He can be a center back. He can be a left center back and play on the wrong side. He has been everything that Eric Quill has asked for. And now he's the vice captain of the team as well, so he has the leadership qualities. Great sort of understated I don't think he was understated the first 15 minutes. He was absolutely phenomenal. Maybe understated from there, but he kept it steady and just had a great 95-plus minutes tonight. I mean, fantastic work from him, and a lot of credit goes to him in keeping Houston from finding any more than the 3 goals that they did.
Yeah, look, Nolan Norris, I thought, had a good game. It just wasn't a Shaq Moore type game. He didn't fill up the box score like that. I don't know at what point, Sam, you want to get to this, but maybe maybe it's a good time to say that, Norris has a good game. Shaq Moore has a good game. I thought outside of a little bit of sloppiness on the ball in a couple of places, Uriguide was good in his defensive actions. And by the way, this is against a good front line. I mean, Bogusz, 15-goal scorer a couple of years ago with LAFC. I think Guilherme is going to be a good player in the league.
I think he's a great player. He was like kind of an underrated signing. Didn't pay a lot of money for him. He's 30 years old. You think is he still got it? He's looking absolutely ridiculous so far.
Yeah,
Came into this with 4 goal contributions in 3 games, and he leaves now with 7 and 4.
Yeah, he's a good player, so that's the point. And I thought the defensive line, the back line, did well for Dallas. Now, then you get to the bad part. In 4 minutes, the team completely fell apart. And I don't think it was just the back line. It was Collodi making a bad pass. He had an easy option right. He chose the more risky pass. Guilherme jumped the passing lane and ends up scoring. After that, the next goal was the next one, getting behind Johansson.
Corner kick
the next goal was the corner kick. Absolutely free runner. Svichenko was left alone on that one. I looked down at Drew Keyshawn, the FC Dallas goalkeeper coach. He's the defensive set piece coach, and he just turned around in disgust, which I'm sure somebody's getting a talking to about that one.
I'm sure lots of people are probably.
And then, Herman Johansson lost an alley on that goal. But in a way, Eric Will talked about it this week, that Herman Johansson's still learning about, the nuance of MLS refereeing. He's learning about the profile of the other players, about the speed and athleticism. But there's a lot of players out there that are good athletes, have good speed, and they don't have an alley speed. I mean, that guy's fast, and he just blew past Johansson, pushes the ball around Michael Collodi, but it's still a mistake, and it's a mistake to leave that passing lane open. They didn't have the right defensive structure, so it's important when it's actually good when lessons don't correspond to losses. And tonight, I think Dallas learned a big lesson. They got 2 goals up, and they just they throttled down. It took the foot off the accelerator, and they nearly paid a high price for it.
Yeah, look at some of the numbers here for Johansson specifically. He ends up 30 of 33 on his passing, 3 chances created, 1 shot on target. It's an interesting profile for him. Like I still think there's a good player there. I think there's still a lot to like, but there has been a couple of moments. I'm thinking about the red card, not the red card, the penalty last week. I'm thinking about Anali just blowing by him this week. That you hope that he can clean those up, because if he does, I think Dallas has got a really good player on their hands.
But you can't make a big defensive mistake every game.
No, you cannot.
You can make a mistake, but it cannot become a habit.
Yeah, no, that cannot be something we're talking about in 2 weeks when they go play DC United. I don't really know where I want to start this conversation, but I am going to at least bring it up. This all started on the Collodi mistake where he makes the pass, as you eloquently laid out there, Steve. And we've got now 3 games of Collodi letting in at least 3 goals. And I know last week's a little bit of a weird spot because he lets in 2 penalties. But, Ryan, I'll start here. I don't really know what to make of Collodi's early season, because I think you can say 2 things. One, not all of it's his fault because he's been put in weird positions. But at the same time, when you have 3 multi-goal games like this, it's something you got to at the very least bring up, even if there's not necessarily culpability to put there.
Yeah, I mean, I think, he's in his first season as a full-time Major League Soccer starter. He's 24 years old, and he had a learning moment tonight. He made his first major error leading to a goal. I think that we have seen him be just extremely solid in his time so far, whether it was filling in for Martin Paz last year, winning the job down the stretch, starting this season. He hasn't even faced many shots, let's be honest. He comes away with, in these games where he concedes 1 or 2 saves, and it's penalties, it's freak accidents, it's his own giveaway tonight. And I think this is the biggest moment and the biggest vote of confidence in Michael Collodi. He comes up with the save in the 90-plus minute to save the 3 points. It's not an easy save. It's a reaction save. Depending on which metrics you're looking at, worth over 0.5 XG. And for a header, that's, you don't see that ever. It was a point-blank header on target towards the corner, and he saves the points there. And so just huge credit to him for his mentality, not to let it get him down. And in a second half in which he had very little to do, he stayed locked in, and he came up big when they needed him. And so for me, that's the biggest vote of confidence in Michael Collodi, is that he did not let that mistake cause another mistake, cause another mistake, cause another mistake. Instead, he stepped up, he showed his mentality, he showed his ability when they needed him the most.
And I think he's got that kind of mentality. I think he's got a strong personality. I honestly, I never really even considered that. We didn't even talk about it at halftime. Is that going to shake his confidence? Because I don't really think it was a question. I don't think anybody that knows him was too worried about that. But it is a good thing that you bring up, because I think lesser mentality, it could have rattled, somebody who is now the first time in his life the clear number one for a Major League Soccer team.
And I think it goes back to, that save goes back to something that kind of, weighed on me as we were kind of finishing up the broadcast. I think this is a game that if you go back to 2025 FC Dallas, I don't think they win this game. I think especially after they give up all 3 of those goals in the first half, after they go up 2-0, I don't think this team would be, whatever you want to call it, mentally tough, have whatever the term would be. I think this is a game that they either lose 3-2 or they maybe concede another goal. I think the biggest demarcation between 25 and 26 was what we saw tonight. Yes, they conceded 3 goals in bad fashion. There's no doubt about that. They come out of the halftime break. They get right back in it. They grab the lead with about 10 minutes to go, and they hold on for it. Like, that to me is the biggest testament. If we're talking about mentality, not just Collodi, who makes a fantastic save, but the whole team says we're not going to lose this game, and they don't do it. Like, that's a feather in their cap here, especially a game they had to win.
Yeah, you can. I think that right where you're leading us there is that you can think about the alternate reality where this one ends 3-2, 4-2, and now we've got to sit here with 2 weeks and a game that you should have won that you threw away, and Musa will go off to Croatia, Herman will go to Sweden, and they'll try and put this one behind them. Instead, they're going to be buoyed by what happened tonight. They were able to turn it around. Like you said, they showed the resilience. And now the mood is going to be totally different around Frisco for the next 2 weeks as they prepare for DC away. As Steve said, it's so much better when you can learn without losing games, and that's what they managed to do tonight. And you said last year's team might have lost this game. This year's team might have lost this game. I mean, towards the end of it was Houston throwing everything at it. I mean, it was just pure chaos. And Eric Will said he wanted chaos in the media this week, and maybe this isn't exactly what he meant.
I don't think that's what he meant exactly. I tell you what, guys, we talked about that really tough stretch. 3 games, Nashville, LAFC, San Diego, 3 teams that will absolutely compete for trophies this year. Dallas sort of survived that gauntlet, and then you sort of look at the schedule and you say, okay, now you've got games. You got 4 games coming up against Houston, DC United, St. Louis, and LA Galaxy, 4 teams that didn't make the playoffs last year, right? And you say, okay, this is the chance. They've survived the gauntlet. Now they can, maybe start stacking up some points. But you got to win them, man.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about, Texas Derby, trying to – it's so mission critical this year to bounce back from last year's poor home performance. 4-game stretch where you can maybe, stack up some points. But you got to win them. And, this win tonight, so important.
Yeah, because you've got 8 points. All of them have come at home because you lost your only road game to LAFC. If you average 2 points a game at home for the season, you're going to be just fine, more than likely. Although if that number wanted to get a little higher, ain't nobody going to complain too loud about that, especially when you consider that, if you look at one of those opponents, St. Louis City won 3-1 tonight, albeit New England is not looking like they're exactly going to be a tough out this year, to say the least. Kind of winding things down here, I'm curious what we thought about the game of Ka'ike, because he was kind of on a little bit of a good stretch coming into this, and I don't think he was necessarily bad tonight, but I don't think it was necessarily his best effort.
I think, actually, I'll widen the lens a little bit and say Ramiro, Kappas, and Ka'ike all kind of had weird games tonight. Kappas had a couple of moments positively in the first half, a couple of negative moments, a couple of weird, uncharacteristic giveaways, gets replaced at halftime. Ramiro ends up going the distance, but I think maybe 5+ times just made weird decisions and wasn't sharp with his passing. Ka'ike picked up a weird yellow card, and that maybe hampered his ability to be as aggressive as he wanted to be. But I think maybe of the 3, he probably had the best performance in just covering ground, being a nuisance as he likes to be. And also, I think there was multiple times where, and this can go under the radar, Johansson is pushed high up the field, or on the other side, Kamungo is pushed high up the field. Who ends up in the right wing-back position from all the way across the field? It's a full sprint from Ka'ike. Nobody on this team can cover ground like he can, and that's huge when you're trying to push wing-backs high up the field, and you need that covering defender, particularly against guys like Guilherme and Bogusz who have quality in the wide area. So between the 3 midfielders, I would say Ka'ike was the strongest tonight.
But all three of them had some, ups and downs, and the technical quality was not where they want to be week in, week out.
Yeah, I've got to think that Kappas either was carrying a little bit of an injury or something happened early in the match, because we know how much Eric Quill believes in Kappas, and he did make some he was uncharacteristically untidy with the ball in a couple of places, and I just got to think there was something else going on there. I don't really think he was completely yanked at halftime for a performance, because I don't think he was that bad. Even though he was maybe a little sloppy. The thing with Kayeke is, I think in assessing somebody, you've got to understand what are they being asked to do. And in this particular structure, he's being asked basically to be a number 10. They have the dual number 10s up there, sort of that box midfield, 2 screeners, 2 guys ahead of them, playing behind a striker, right? Well, that's not really Kayeke. He's gonna cover ground. He's gonna recover balls. He's gonna connect. He's got a little bit, of juice offensively, and he can do some things up there. But I just don't think he's that kind of idea guy. I think if you're gonna play him there, you need an idea guy beside him. And what they have right now, we go back to talking about Valiente. I don't know that he's the idea guy. I think he's very industrious. I think he's a good player, but I just don't know that he's a string puller, a creator that way. And and Kayeke isn't either. So I thought he was pretty good in the first half, honestly. I thought I believe it was the second goal that starts when he picks up a ball, recovers the ball over near midfield and starts the sequence that ends up with Valiente, then Johansson, etc. So I kind of thought Kayeke was okay. Again, given that he's being asked to do something that he's not naturally good at.
So here's the reality, is that Eric Quill has experimented with the 2-10s, 1-9, 1-9, 2-10s, which is what we saw tonight. You can't keep Farrington off the field right now. You can't. You definitely aren't going to drop Musa if he's healthy. So those 2 guys are going to play, and that leaves spot for probably Joaquin Valiente. And if you want Kayeke in the game, he's going to be deeper. I think, this is a tool in the toolkit that they have. If they're playing at somebody who wants to play like San Diego or, to a lesser extent Houston, who wants to play out of the back, then maybe you flip it and you go to the 2-10s and you go high press. I don't think this is what we're going to see week in, week out from this team, but it's good to see that they have options, and I think, whether we see 2-10s or 2-9s will tell us how Dallas wants to play against the ball going forward.
Yeah, I think this speaks to something that Quill talked about a lot last year, hasn't really brought it up much this year. Tactical flexibility, he thinks, is very key to what he wants to do, and I think we're starting to see it more and more this year, where they've got a system they like, and now they're kind of working within that system, using that structure that they like to kind of create some freedom within it, create some different twist in it.
And also, I think last year, they had some good comeback wins last year. They were able to pull the rabbit out of the hat a couple of times, particularly Miami and Cincinnati away. But this year, they've shown the ability now 2 weeks in a row to go to a completely different shape, go to 4 at the back, bring in midfielders. And tonight, there's a caveat of the red card and whatever. But they've shown the ability to actually be effective late in the game, which is not easy to do. You think, okay, get your attacking players on, you're chasing the game. Well, the structure can completely break down and you create absolutely no threat. And we've seen that happen on this field with this team over the past 2 years. But it seems like now they have both a consistent identity from minute one, and if they need something late in the game, they can turn to it. If they need to press high up the field, they can turn to it. And to your point, I think they're building it all within the identity of how they want to play. It's not just based on the formation. The formation is a key cornerstone of how they want to play, but they can tweak that. They can bring in some extra legs in midfield. If they're going to have more of the ball like they did against 10 men tonight, they can bring in somebody else who can try and pull the string. So the versatility is really coming to the fore, and I think that's huge for the ceiling of this team going forward.
Before we wrap this up, I do want to say I gave the stat in pregame that the magic number was 2, and I'm still right.
You're still
because
right.
They didn't
go ahead and explain it for anybody who wasn't tuned in.
So Houston, when they go up 2 goals, they have not lost in 230 games. When they go down 2 goals, they have not won. But coming into tonight, 249 games. Well,
and you were sweating.
I was. Well, I'm sweating for many reasons, but yes, thanks to Petter Musa and company, that streak extends to 250 games for Houston where they have not won after conceding 2 goals and being down 2 goals or more at a time. It's an impressive streak considering Dallas has not had the same problem. Their streaks are in like the double digits, but it's a good night for Dallas when they can not only extend Houston's misery but also take 3 points from it. Before we briefly look ahead and turn off the open sign here, do we have any final thoughts on FC Dallas 4, Houston Dynamo 3? Chair recognizes Ryan Figert.
Okay, I'll go first. We were, obviously concerned with no Moose in the lineup tonight, but I think it's just something he's just so good, right? And we've talked about all of his qualities and whatever, but
it's a different mentality coming off the bench, right? When he's been the main man, starting every game, playing 90 minutes, week in, week out. But we were looking at his record as a substitute coming into tonight, and 6 games where he'd come off the bench in his Dallas career, he has 2 goals. Well, now make that 3-7, really 4-7, in forcing the own goal. In his Benfica career, when he was mostly a super sub, he was 13 out of his 17 goals came off the bench. So, Croatia, I'm looking at you. Whether you start him or not, you've got to get him in the game at the World Cup. This guy can make an impact. Whether you give him 90 minutes, 45 minutes, 10 minutes, he knows how to put the ball in the back of the net, and he knows how to rise to the moment.
The man is in good form. Chair recognizes Steve Davis for his fun note.
Well, you know, I think this is going to be an important 2 weeks for Dallas now that they get to sit there and look at the think about a good result. But also, you know, Eric Quill talked about how this game was going to be big and trying to figure out, do they need to add a little something more to the team? And we're sitting right here, MLS match day 5. They've had 2 goal scorers, Logan Farrington, Petr Musa. That's not horrible, you know, but it's not great either. You need more than 2 people that can put the ball in the net. And right now, you know, we've seen good crossing out of Herman Johansson, but we haven't really seen him be really a goal threat. We've seen Bernie Kamungo be up and down. We know Bernie can put the ball in the net, but we also know that Bernie Kamungo is inconsistent. Haven't really seen that. I wonder what kind of player Valiente was. I wonder if maybe he'd be sort of Sebastian Driussi, where he's more, you know, the Austin player for a while there, who was really not a 10 so much as he was a second forward. Or, you know, or would somebody else sort of step up and get goals out of the midfield? It's not going to be Ramiro. Kaike might give you a couple. Patrickson Delgado has lost his starting spot. So I think that they still might need to add a little something more in the way of goal scoring, especially considering that we're not going to see Anderson Julio for a while. You know, the injury will keep him out for quite some time.
Yeah, I think there's been rumors, of course, spreading across the internet, but also keep an eye on it because the transfer window does close this week, and if they are going to make an addition before the summer, it's got to come soon.
Yep.
Yeah, so keep an eye on the FC Dallas agenda this week, assuming we don't also take an international window, because
I think after this game, I need a break.
Break. We all need a sandwich and maybe another adult product that you may use a lighter for to this one to keep it family safe. Well, we do get a break next week. No FC Dallas soccer, so everyone enjoy their international window. Watch Petr Musa if you can. I don't know what the TV situation is for that.
Just go to Orlando. It sounds like a fun time.
Yeah, just get credit cards. Money's not real.
Road trip.
Road trip. FC Dallas agenda on the road.
I mean,
here we go.
I could stand it. It wouldn't bother me. But we will get back to action in 2 weeks from tonight. And it's our second road game of the year, and it's a venture out to the East Coast. It's DC United at Audi Field. DC played tonight. They played Atlanta United to a scoreless draw, which is not exactly a good demarcation line. They've got wins against Chicago and Philadelphia. Philadelphia, boy, taking just not a fun early start to their season. They lose to Chicago as well. Losses to Austin and, of course, Miami and Baltimore for United. But that'll be on April 4th, a 6:30 kick from Audi Field. So coverage here on the FC Dallas Radio Network will begin at 6 p.m. that night as we get you FC Dallas versus DC United. But that's going to do it for tonight's Texas Derby action. FC Dallas wins 4-3 against the Houston Dynamo. For Ryan Figert, for Steve Davis, I have been Sam Hale. You've been listening to FC Dallas Soccer, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
The preceding broadcast has been a presentation of the FC Dallas Radio Network.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible.